Okay, so thank you all for sharing about yourselves and why you're here. I'm just going to start the program, and this is being recorded for those who could not join us today. We do miss you all, and hopefully you'll join us on the next session. And sure, I am sharing my right screen. Okay, so what we are going to cover this week, today, we're going to start with kind of understanding schools in the United States and how to effectively search for school options in the US. At the end of the session, we'll have another expert who will talk about the search options in Canada. I am not an expert, and it's so amazing. And just as I start talking about it, Jessica joined us. And thank you, Jessica. I know you'll be on mute to the end of the session. This is being recorded. But we will talk about really how to effectively search. So that is going to be part of what is going to help lay the foundation to make sure you're going in the right direction. Chris, again, you probably had a head start because we gave you a kind of a quick, here's an Excel sheet, start looking for schools. But we're going to talk about other search tools. And then we're going to do some exercises together. Welcome, Jessica. So glad you can join us. We have a small group this morning. A few people could not make it, but they plan and promise to join us next Saturday. So it'll be a group about 6 of us next Saturday. So thank you for joining us, Jessica. And we look forward to you sharing at the end of the presentation. So this is what we're going to cover today. And this is going to be interactive, everyone. I'm not going to be the only one talking. You're going to come in during different parts of the schedule. And we're going to stay engaged because I don't want you to fall asleep. Okay. Next week, we're going to talk about how to, because for you to apply to schools in the US, sometimes in Canada as well, and in the UK, you have to be able to tell your story. You have to be able to share why applying to these type of schools, and sometimes for scholarships, are important. So we're going to talk about how to write powerful essays for your application. We're going to have someone in Nigeria who's going to join us that Ms. Bellama knows. And Stanley, you haven't met Ms. Bellama, but you will. She is my point of contact in Nigeria because I cannot be useful in Nigeria when it comes to understanding like what Chris had to go through with his transcript. I don't know the process in Nigeria. So before, when we met Stanley, it was just me and Maxine, and we were here in the US. So we don't know everything that happens on ground in Nigeria. So what happened over the past 2 years is one of my family members, she is just amazing in terms of supporting young people from Nigeria to apply to schools in the US. One, she's done it herself 3 times. 3 of her boys are from Nigeria and they're studying here in the United States, all at the same time. And she's helped numbers of students go through this same process. So she is going to be supporting us through this, again, especially understanding what happens on ground in Nigeria. But another person will join us to talk about another person she knows about how to really help you write powerful essays. When you write an essay, let me tell you, it can make or break your application. And some of us are better writers than others. I remember, Stanley, you are writing a book. So I know you have, and you are a movie producer. So you have that power of writing, but we need someone to help each of you and everyone else joining the group how to tell your story in a short, concise manner. Because essays cannot be too long. They just have to be usually 600 words the max, if it's required. So we'll have someone come in to help us share how to do that very, very well. Then another part, week 3, we'll talk about your resume, your activities list. For you, Chris, you probably be the one focused more on the activities list because you have to talk about, especially for those applying to undergrad programs, you have to talk more about like what you have done as opposed to like where you have worked. So for undergrads and grads, it looks a little different, but we'll cover that to make sure you are prepared to create an activities list and or a resume that you will need for any of the schools you're applying to. And then week 4, this is really when you guys will start, you're going to have work every single week, but week 4 is going to really culminate everything you have done. We'll talk about applying to these schools because my goal is to see that you all submit your applications to schools no later than January of 2021. If sooner, some of you may start submitting your applications as early as December, but I know December is a month people are relaxing, it's a holiday, you know, so I don't want you to be distracted. So between January and February, you all should be done with your applications, waiting to hear for admissions. We'll talk about what that looks like. And really importantly, you know, financial aid. We're going to talk about financial aid, I feel like every week, because that's going to be part of what you all are looking for. What schools should I be applying to? How much are they? And how will I pay for it? And last, the visa. So you're going to get admitted. I guarantee each of you will get admitted into a school if you do the work. But you can get admitted. And the part that sometimes bottlenecks people is the visa process, okay? So we are going to be talking and having people who will talk about, and sometimes the visa interview is like 1 minute. So how do you prepare yourself to make sure you are ready after you gain admissions, you've done all this work? How do you make sure you're prepared for your visa interview or any interview you may have? We'll make sure to cover that, all right? And you guys are actually part of our first boot camp. So, because usually we do this individually, like helping this one, helping this one, helping this one. And with my schedule, I can't help everyone separately. So that's why we're bringing it together. So what's gonna be important to us is your feedback. What has been helpful to you at the end? We'll ask for your feedback. So if we decide to do this again at a largest, I wanted to keep it small to make it manageable, but maybe next year, if time permits, we'll make it larger. So your feedback will be very, very helpful in this process. Okay, so expectations. I can't be, again, the only one talking, but I do have expectations from all of you, Stanley, Chris, and the rest that will be joining and watching. 1, attend each of these sessions, which you two are doing. And those who cannot attend, watch this video, come in and make sure you take notes, do the homework. If you do the homework that we give you, it will be so much easier in this process, okay? Ask questions, please don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask questions to me, ask questions to people who will join us like Jessica and Ms. Bellama, and others who would join. Probably I'm gonna ask Ms. Delapo as well to come in, because Ms. Delapo, Stanley, you don't know her, but she is a dear friend of mine, and she's also Nigerian here in the US, and she really knows about financial aid and just very, very mindful of what you should be looking for when it comes to searching for opportunities that can help pay for school. I want to be very clear though. School will never be 100% free. So you all have to be prepared with where is your finances coming from that will help you pay for certain aspects, and be prepared for how you will manage yourself once you get to whether it's the US, Canada, or UK. What job? So ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Make sure that you work hard on this. The harder you work, the better it will be. Push yourself. Sometimes you're gonna wanna like give up, you thinking this is not gonna go anywhere. But stay motivated, just like you shared earlier, what's meaningful to you. Make sure this is meaningful to you and then push yourself hard. You're gonna do research. You know, Stanley, I know you're really good about finding resources and people and groups. Stanley shared with me a really big group that talks about like schools in the UK, and it's mind blowing how many people are in there sharing information. But it's important that you do your own research. Just do not depend on what other people say or what other people are going through, because everybody's experiences, everyone's journey is very, very different. People only share the good results, but they don't share with you the challenges, how many rejections they receive, you know, how many wrong information. They only share with you the results. So you have to do your own research, and you have to be knowledgeable about everything, every school that you are planning to apply to. Practice. Some of you will have to be taking exams. Like Chris, we know that you are studying for the ACT, and then some of you will be writing. Some of you, so practice everything. Don't think, oh, I just do it one time, I didn't get it. No, keep practicing. Find different practice methods. Find people who can help you with preparing. Like Chris named an example of, he has a tutor to help him with ACT. So everything you do, like Stanley, you're an actor, you know, you have to practice, practice, practice until you get your lines right. So all of you, each of you involved, it requires practice to get this right. So make sure that you practice everything. Beat deadlines. Here in the US, Canada, we all have deadlines. Waiting to if you can't think, oh, I'll just wait to, you know, that's my goal again, is to have you guys done with your applications January, February. Some of these school deadlines will be March. We're not waiting until, if we can do it earlier, I would do it earlier. But I want everything to look good for you, and then you apply. But you want to never wait to just a deadline. You want to beat deadlines. The earlier you apply, the earlier you put in things, the better you'll be prepared, okay? And you sometimes, especially for undergrad, the earlier you apply, if they have multiple rounds, the sooner you can be considered for financial aid, for scholarships for some schools, because financial aid usually is like a pot, like just like you're eating a pot of okra soup, or a pot of egusi soup, whatever. You keep eating it until the bottom, and then at the end, you know, if there's no more, if you're the last one. So that's the way financial aid works here. It's just a pot of money, and eventually it will run out. So the earlier you apply, the better you are to be considered for financial aid, for that support you're looking for. Network, you know, even though it's just two of you today, it will be more next week, but network, find groups you can be part of people who have been successful in this process, and join them. Listen to, hear what people are not, don't follow their exact advice, because again, everybody's journey is different, but it's good to be part of groups of people who are going through the same process. It motivates you. It makes you understand you're not alone in this journey. And then you're not just hearing just from me and Ms. Bellama and Ms. Delapo, because we're the adults in the group, or Ms. Jessica. You're hearing from yourselves, you're supporting each other, you're seeing, oh, bro, how's it going? You know, and or sis, how's it going? So it's good to have other people around you who are going through this process, so you can support each other and celebrate each other, because you all will be successful in this journey. And for me, sometimes I take myself very seriously. I can be very, very serious. But I do want you all, because I care, you know, so even though I can be very serious, sometimes one of my students like, Miss Karen, you're so harsh, you're so mean. It's not that I'm being mean, it's because I care deeply, and I want to see you succeed. But I do want you to enjoy this process as much as possible, so you can share with others. When Stanley came back, because Stanley was finishing up his school, he introduced me to so many people. Oh my God, it was almost overwhelming. But they weren't serious. You know, some people, you introduce them and they don't take this seriously. That's their business. But I do want you to enjoy, we'll try to enjoy this process with each other as much as possible, okay? Okay, so quickly, I'm gonna go over the US landscape, very high level, meaning I'm not going to go into very much detail, just very, very simple information. And then if you have any questions, I'll stop to take questions, okay? And this is good to know because as you are applying and thinking about schools in the US, you want to know what you're getting yourself into or how much is out there so you can pursue it. So in the US, we have thousands. It's technically 5,300 universities or colleges or institutions in the United States. And they are broken down into different, what we call types of universities, right? We have private schools, and private schools in the United States, what we call private nonprofits. And those are all the type of schools, I worked at 4 universities. I worked at a school called Seton Hall University. I worked at Howard University, University of Virginia, and Johns Hopkins University. Of the 4 schools, the first category you see here is private nonprofits. Of my 4 schools, 3 of them were private nonprofits, meaning the school wants you to come to the school and they charge you tuition, but the profit is not going to them. The money they make goes right back into the school in terms of scholarships, faculty, and in the US, there are a bit over 1,600 universities that are considered private nonprofits. Private nonprofits also have the benefit of creating scholarships for all different types of students. So they can offer more money, even though their number in terms of cost will be higher, they do offer more scholarships because they're usually smaller than the next category I'm going to talk about. So schools like Harvard University, a school like a Spelman College for Women, it's considered a private, but there are thousands of them in the United States, thousands. Next, there are public nonprofit colleges. These are like you're in Anambra State, you have the Federal University, there's a public school in Nigeria, maybe free or very, very low cost. In the US, we also have public schools for people, anyone can attend, but it's usually cheaper when you are from that state. Like I live in Virginia, I worked at the University of Virginia. It's a public university, so it's much more affordable. However, they don't offer as much financial aid to international students. They do offer some of them will have what they call a tuition waiver, depending on your grades. And they're big schools. So like in the United States, University of Texas is a big school. They have thousands of students. And a lot of them are from that state, but it's usually, it can be, even though they don't offer financial aid in terms of scholarships, sometimes it can be more affordable because state schools are cheaper, a little bit cheaper than private schools. And we'll talk about that later. And there are thousands, over 1,600 public universities, like North Carolina A&T, it's a historically Black college in North Carolina, University of Houston, but they're everywhere. So thousands. It's not just, sometimes you hear of 1, 2, 3, or top 20 schools, but there are thousands of universities in the United States. And then there are a category called profit universities, right? Where for-profit schools, there are hundreds of them in the United States. They are like schools like the University of Phoenix, Grand Canyon University, over 900 for-profit. These schools are tricky. Now, they lure students because they make it very easy to apply, very, very easy. Sometimes they can offer financial aid, but they are to make a profit. All the schools are educational businesses, but for profit is to make a profit, right? So they do invest in students, but you have to be some of them are good schools. Many people have graduated from schools like the University of Phoenix, Grand Canyon, but you have to be very careful and you have to be very, very aware if a for-profit university is one you want to consider. A majority of our students attend nonprofit colleges. I haven't come across any yet who decided that they wanted to apply to a for-profit. Okay, but we just wanted you to be aware that you have thousands of choices in the United States. And again, Ms. Jessica will talk at the end about the Canadian landscape and what that looks like. And I believe also they have thousands. And then we'll also talk about the UK in another time. And just to give you a sense of who you're competing with when applying to school. So over 1 million international students from around the world apply to schools outside of their country. So they're here in the US, Canada, and the UK. They're in other countries, like someone was sharing, she has friends in the Philippines or in different places, like Australia, in different parts of Europe. So in Asia, some Africans here are in China and Korea, Japan. So pockets of students go to other countries outside of their home country. So you're not alone in this wanting to leave. In the whole continent of Africa, over 40,000 students leave their country and are studying abroad, whether again, US, Canada, or the UK, which are the most popular. Nigeria gets to take the lead of all of our African countries. Nigeria is the #1 sender. Yes, sir. I know, Ms. Jessica, your family's from Ghana. You guys are right behind us. But Nigeria is #1. We send the most African students of all African countries leaving Africa to study again in different parts of the world. But you see that last number. Remember I said there are thousands of schools in the United States we have here. However, there are only about 600 universities out of the 1,000 that actually support and give financial aid or scholarships to international students. And not just Nigerian students. So to see that million number, imagine 1 million students trying to get scholarships to 600 schools. It's not enough. So you have to know the competition is steep. But if you do your homework, you find the right schools, you can find schools that can still offer you scholarship or are affordable that you can bear to manage affording that, especially in Nigeria. You have family, they know you're traveling. Everybody, at least for your first year, everyone will help to gather money to help you at least get here. And then when you get to the school, you find your way. You guys are hustlers, you guys are businessmen, you guys are very savvy, and all those who are listening. So you'll find a way to continue on. But we also want to give you the tools so you can be successful. But just keep in mind, the scholarship is limiting, okay? Very, very limiting, but not impossible. And we're hoping, again, that we will give you some tools, some options that will find a way for you. And you have to be realistic with, I won't say everyone will get scholarship, because you have to look at what was my academic profile. Am I considered a competitive applicant? If I'm not competitive, then I need to find an affordable school based on me, that at least my first year, I will do whatever it takes to get that money. And then when I get to that school, but I'm telling you, Nigerians, we work hard to find my students, even at Johns Hopkins. Oh my goodness, they will ask every professor, they will do whatever it takes so they can afford, and the school will help you. If they see that you're really doing well in school, they will support you tremendously to get through the next. So for those of you like Chris, who will be doing undergrad for 4 years, you know, they'll find a way to make sure you get things covered. I experienced that, you know, myself, because when I started the university in Nigeria, I technically was still an international student. I wasn't a US citizen. I wasn't a permanent resident. I was technically illegal. I didn't know. Even though I've been here all my life, my family didn't take care of my paperwork correctly. So when I started school, I thought everything would be fine, but they're like, no, you're not even a citizen. You're not anything. You're an illegal person. But because I attended a private school and my school knew how hard I worked, they really were wonderful. They supported me and helped me through the process. I do have a very unique situation, but I'm very grateful. So if you work hard, you talk to the right people, people at universities in the United States, they do care. They care about their students' success. And they see that you also care about your own success. They will support you through to help you. But we will also be here to help you, okay? So it is now my 8 o'clock. That means your 1 o'clock. So that is our official first break. So I'll stop now just to take a break for about 5 minutes, and then we'll go into the next part of the presentation. I will stop the video. Any questions before we break? Pause. Okay, so again, I've asked you all to at least 5, some of you only came up with 3, that's okay. What do you need to do? What should you know about the schools you're applying to before you start applying? So Chris, you go first. Tell us your list and why you chose those particular items.
Okay.
Or criteria.
So number 1, yeah, number 1 is financial aid. I kind of prefer to list this first because, I mean, if you want to look at the schools out there, if you would ask me, I would use the word expensive. If as for some of us here, or most of us coming from Nigeria, so it is really important to look at the school you're going to in terms of financial aid. Though I learned that some of the schools there, they do not focus on the financial aspect. They want to listen to your story. They want to look at your grades. But then I think this is what should be considered first because of the cost of study. Then number 2 is the program to study. Now, the program to study, I'm listing this because of the fact that not every school has some particular programs. So I want to study computer science, and that's actually a common program. Most of the schools have it. But then someone else might want to study a course or a program that is not available in your, let's say you found a school that has a very nice financial aid, but then there's a tendency or a possibility that they do not offer that program that you want to study. So this also should be considered when deciding the school to apply or the schools to apply to. And then the location, I actually added a question mark because I don't know if that is actually, it should be considered, but then I don't see it as 100% like a priority or something. I mean, if you find a school that has good financial aid and it offers your course, or should I say your program, I don't think though location can be a challenge, but then it should be on the list too. For example, Mrs. Dolapo mentioned one of the schools. She said that it is in a state which is very cold. Now, for example, I kind of don't like cold. I don't like cold. So this also should be considered. Let's say I see a school that has everything I want, but then it's cold, and I see another one that doesn't, or that isn't that cold, it's just normal. I think that will also count in. And then I don't mean to cut into into Stanley's list, but I think security and some other things that he's mentioned are really important. But these three are the ones that I actually got in. So yeah, that's it.
Hello? Thank you. Thank you. Very, very good. Okay. Stanley, tell us, you don't have to go over all five. You can speak about something else differently. What are some of the things you need to, thank you, Chris, but what are some of the, from your perspective, other criteria you need to consider when applying to schools outside of Nigeria?
Okay, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Financial aid. I think Mr. Chris has made some vital points because we're all coming from Nigeria, and our currency and having to pay for schools in the US and all that. So a school with a financial aid, that has very good financial aid for students is going to be top priority, definitely. And then career opportunity for me, being that I am already a filmmaker, I am an experienced filmmaker to a certain level, I would also want an area where I can have opportunity in case I'll still have to, because definitely I'll still make movies in the future. Wherever I am, I'll still make movies. I'll still make my own movies. So in as much as I'm studying, I also want to be in an area where I can mix up with like-minded filmmakers who I can just, come together. We can easily collaborate and put out a project and make money from it, possibly. So that is also very, very important for me because I still want to continue with my career. And then security, you hear a lot of things happening. You wouldn't want to study in Iraq, or do you understand? So you want to study in a place that is conducive for you, where there is peace, there is love, and all that. No fighting, not too much insecurity, definitely. So that is also one of my consideration, because even studying in Nigeria now is tough because we have a lot of insecurities, and especially in school we have cultism and all that. So this is a very, very distracting. I could remember while I was in school, they could approach you because you have the height, you have what they need, and if you don't want to succumb, they will start trying to get to you. So it's a big issue for students, and if you have such issues, you find it hard to really study. Job opportunities, that is another thing, because in as much as you are in school, you still need to be in an area whereby you can get jobs in that area, good jobs that can pay. Because I know my friend that is studying in the UK said that he has to work 20 hours a week, that he's allowed to work 20 hours per week. So if you are in a state where there is no job, you're not going to get the job. Or even if you get the job, you'll be highly underpaid. So it's going to really affect how you'll be meeting up with your expenses and all that. So, somewhere that you are going to get good job opportunities is also very, very important. Then development, like being in Nigeria, I also want to be in a place that is developed. Why? Because I want to experience like what civilization really is, and like that alone is education on its own. Being in a state, seeing something different from what you have experienced, seeing civilization, seeing development. To me, I believe it is an education on its own. So I also want somewhere way better than where I am, so that I can be educated, not just in school, but outside the school.
Excellent. Wow, that is, both of you shared. My internet was going in and out for Chris a bit, but seems to be okay. But you both shared really great criteria to consider when applying to schools outside of Nigeria. And it is so.
I don't know, your voice seems to be low now. Your voice seems to be low.
Oh, it is. Can you hear me now?
I don't know why. I don't know whether it's from my side, but I don't know whether Chris.
Chris, is my voice?
I can hear her. I can hear her.
Jessica, can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you, but it seems slow now. It was loud before. Okay, hold on. Okay, fine. Okay, can you talk now?
Hello, is it louder now?
Yes, yes, it's
It's
louder
still
now.
low.
It's
Okay.
good. It's good. It's good now. I can hear
Okay.
you well now.
So you both, yes, have brought up some pretty fantastic points about what is important to you and how that's going to help with deciding if this is a good states in United States to be in, or in Canada or in the UK, because you want to have results. You want to know, I'm going to, because again, like you said, in our countries, you can go to school, but many people don't have any results. Many people are unemployed, or they're underemployed. They're working, but it's just enough to feed themselves and not really create a future for their families, that not a sustainable financial future. So you, in Nigeria, you all are really hustling hard to just keep your head above water. So you want to know, if I'm going to invest or come to the US or go to Canada or UK, that I can work while I'm in school. To your point, Stanley, you say you're a friend of yours, he's working. When you are in school in the United States, and then I'll let Jessica answer the part about school in Canada, but when you are in the United States, you are on a visa, a student visa. As a student on the F1 visa, you are eligible to work on campus a maximum of 20 hours. The same rules apply in the United States, 20 hours a week. Usually that money can be for your feeding. It won't pay your rent. It won't carry you over, but it's usually enough for your feeding and basic bills. Now, some schools, especially when you're in grad school, you may get an assistantship where you're a teacher assistant, a grad assistant, a resident assistant. For undergrads, for like you, Chris, usually it's like a resident assistant. Those are other great ways of getting money from school, and usually they pay for some component of your experience. For example, for undergrad, like you, Chris, if you apply to be, you're living on campus, you want to live on campus for the next 3 years, which can be very expensive, we would recommend you apply to be an RA, a resident assistant. Why? Because that's how I paid for my housing and my meals myself when I was in my undergrad. And that usually, most schools, if you are a resident assistant, it will cover your housing, it will cover your food, and sometimes they'll even give you money to like regular pay. I didn't get regular pay, but I was thankful. I had enough to cover all my housing. I had a meal plan, they call it. And then on the side, I worked in the bookstore. So that's how I got extra money, so I can, do things, put gas in my car, pay for my insurance, take trips, do things that I wanted to do outside of school. So for undergrad, those are great ways to help cut down on costs for your next, not your first year. Sometimes you can get it the second semester of your first year, but usually your second, third, and fourth year. For grad students like you, Stanley, the same applies. You can apply for opportunities within the school, usually working. I always hired students to work at my front desk, answer the phone, do, for you, Stanley, you can work on the social media because you do media. And so there's different ways to work on campus that will help give you additional funding. And then there are grad assistant roles where you are, if you're very, very astute, you're very knowledgeable about the subject that you're learning, you can apply for a grad assistant, a teacher assistant, helping in the class, helping the professor. Some of them arrange, some of them, if you're a teacher assistant, they may pay for half of your tuition. They may get paid, an hourly wage. Some students can, when I started, my students were making $15 an hour. that wasn't anything. I said, I mean, that wasn't enough. It was something. I said, but I had to bump them up. I said, they need a little bit more. So I bumped all of I had about 25 students that worked under me. So I bumped them up to at least $18 an hour. I wanted to push it to 20, but my budget wasn't allowing me. So I was able to pay them $18 an hour. And then I got so many more wanting to apply because my office paid the most for students. So yes, job opportunities and working on campus, working off campus, that's when it can be difficult for international students because many employers, you know, usually in the summer, you all can get internships for sure. But you have to start doing the homework early. So if you do the homework, you network, you put yourself out there, you will absolutely find these opportunities. And like you, Stanley, that's one thing I've never heard before, development. You want to know you're in a developed place. And you hope that you can learn from these opportunities. If you stay in the United States, that's great. But you want to be able to think, wow, if they're doing this in the US or Canada, can't we be developed like this in our own country, you know, where the schools are developed, opportunities are developed. So I think when you are outside of Nigeria or outside of whatever country you're in, and you see what's happening in different parts of the world, it motivates you, obviously, and you have the infrastructure to do well, but it really has you thinking, wow, if we had this type of sustainable development in Nigeria, we would never want to leave our country. So thank you all for sharing. And that was my feedback. Okay, so other things that you must consider when you are thinking about the schools, and you all will have homework, you know, that Chris, again, I think you're ahead of everyone else because you got the Excel sheet already, but I want to track and see how everyone will be doing. So again, defining what matters to you. And Stanley, you're very clear. Chris, you're very clear. Those who'll be watching it later, be very clear what matters to you. You know, how long, it could be how long will this school be? Is it going to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? That's another thing, the length of the program. You know, you want to know, for some of you, you will have, your degree will have certain designations. So Chris, you want to do computer science. That is, that degree program will be designated as a STEM degree, which in the United States, and for visa consideration, it will put you in a position to work in the United States a minimum of 3 years total without a school, without a company having to technically sponsor you, because we value in the US anyone who pursues STEM. So STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics. When you are pursuing a degree in those 4 areas, the United States technically they're saying we want you to stay a little bit and apply your knowledge to our workforce. So you have to know that matters to me. What degree am I pursuing? Is it a degree that is in demand in the United States? Is it a degree that's in demand in Canada? Will they value what I'm learning? And will I be able to find employment once I finish this program? But again, you have to define the criteria that matters to you. As Chris already mentioned, you want to know that the school offers the degree program you're looking for, because every school will not have the same degrees, the same majors or certificates. So you want to know what it does. Location. For some of you, that is important. You'll have family here. Some of you may not have anybody, but you want to know you're in a safe place. You want to know that as Africans, or just as a man, a Black man, because in America, they're not going to know, or in Canada or any other place, they're not going to know you're African. They're not going to know you're Nigerian unless but if you're just walking in the street, you're just a Black American, you're just a Black male. Okay, so you want to know if as a male or as a man, am I safe here? Or you want to be around a place where you know other people in your family, in your community, are around or close by. But Either case, you want to know that you're in a safe place. Cost. Now, you all talked about financial aid, which is very good, but what you need to also know is how much is this school? In addition, when I say cost of attendance, is not just how much is this school, how much will it take for me to even live in this place, right? For undergrads, like you, Chris, the school usually will have housing. So you want to find out and calculate, okay, here's the tuition. Wow, this school costs this much for my classes. Then how much is it to live on this campus and to feed myself on this campus? And then all the visa fees, you want to know full, what we call full cost of attendance. For you, Stanley, grad, you also have to know tuition. Housing is usually not, some schools will have housing for grad students, but majority do not. So you have to decide, do I want to live on campus and find schools that have housing for grad students? Or do I want to live off campus? Many grads will live off because it can be cheaper. You'll find roommates, your school will have a Facebook group or some group, or what's this thing Stanley shared with me? What was that thing? That group you shared with me, Stanley.
That's a Telegram group.
Telegram, right. So a lot of schools now have Telegram, or they have the different groups. So you can find ways to lower your cost of living. You find a roommate. You have to be careful because you don't know the person. So you have to really ask questions that matter to you. You want to make sure they pay there. When you live off campus, it's usually rent. You have to pay. In Nigeria, you pay rent, or your parents, you live in the house and you pay rent maybe once a year or twice a year. In America, you pay every month, right? If you're off campus, you have to know, if I'm going to live with someone every month, this person has to have their money. I have to have my money to pay for this rent. And sometimes rent we pay in Nigeria, that's 1 year. Like I'll give an example where I live. Where I live, the rent is $2,000 US a month. Whereas where my mom lives in Nigeria, her rents for a whole, and mine is just an apartment, just a 1 floor. No, it's 2 floors, you go up and down. Where my mom lives, she has a whole house and it's $800 for the whole year. So it's very, very different. Again, I pay $2,000 a month. My mom, and you all live in Nigeria, your parents, you probably own your own house. Everything is a little bit more, a lot more affordable in Nigeria. So you have to be prepared for that. So full cost of attendance. Another thing you want to be able is the admission criteria. What does it take to get into this school? Is it my transcript? Do I need to take tests? Write an essay? Do I have to get recommendations? So you need to, and we'll talk about that. You knowing this school is asking me for A, B, C, D, and I have to gather all these things as quickly as possible. Okay, so very, very important. What these schools are looking for. And I'm going to, your homework that you all were working on is mapping out what that looks like. Not before I would do it, but I won't do it. You will do it. Like Chris is working on his already. Stanley, you'll be working on yours starting today. Deadlines. All these schools, and you all I'm really very, very proud of you all who are on today, and the rest of you who will be watching later, is that you're starting this process now, right? Usually summers, some students start, but even now is a good time, because between now and December, you'll be gathering everything you need to get the applications completed, and then submitting your applications in a timely fashion, so you can get back multiple responses from multiple schools, and then you can see what financial aid they're offering you, and then decide which school. So you apply between now and February. Again, my goal is to see you all apply by January, but no later than February. You get your decisions in March, and between March and May, you are looking financial aid, asking who's going to help you. And by May 1 is usually the dates. All students must decide which school. So because after you are admitted, even if you are admitted in February, you still can't come to that school. Let me say for the United States, and I asked Jessica to talk about the Canada system. You cannot come to the United States any earlier than 60 days before your program. Was it 90? I think it's 60 days, 2 months before. You can't come super early. You can't say, oh, can I get here early and just be hanging out? No, the visa has a requirement. So anyway, that's why you pay your deposit in May, and then you will get your visa usually in June, and then you get to school in August of next year, okay? So knowing deadlines and getting things early is very important. So you're not stressed, you're not just running around, you're like doing everything last minute. I used to do that, and I don't have, especially after this month, starting December, everything has to be timely, because I want you all to have as many options as possible, again, in the United States, in Canada, and be very, very aware of which choices or the UK will work best for you. Financial aid, that was the number one thing you all talked about. Yes, you want to know if I apply to this school, will they help me? Or will I need to be prepared to pay out of pocket? Okay. And it's really important that you know, as an international student, there's different forms of financial aid. So they have need-based aid. If I don't have high grades, can I still find the school that will support me because I really want to study here, but I need help to pay? So they're going to base the financial aid based on my need, okay? There are schools, not many for international students based on need, but there are some, and that will require some real heavy research. And real simple, actually not heavy, real simple research. You type on Google, universities in the US that offer need-based aid for international students. Okay, and then look to see which schools will offer that. Then there's scholarships. Those are the ones based on your merit, based on, okay, my grades. If I have first class, second class, third class, can someone with my grades still be considered for scholarships? And see what happens. And then even if the first year, and this is why I tell you, even if you don't get scholarships the first year, but the school is affordable, right? Do what you have to do to gather that money the first year, because your next year, you can find ways to pay for it, right? You can find assistantships, ways to cover that cost if that school has the option. So that should be important before. And then, as you all said, employment opportunities. One thing you all didn't say, which I have a question mark at the bottom, is school ranking. Some students, or international students, especially if you know you're going to return back to Nigeria, you really want to work back in Nigeria or somewhere else outside of the country you studied. Sometimes it's important that you know, is this school ranked? Do people recognize this school around the world? If they searched my school, will they know, oh, okay, this is a good school? So sometimes I know some of my other students that I work with a group of students from China. That is very, very important to them because they want to return back to China, and rankings to the companies they want to work for is important. They want to know, oh, you went to a top 100 or top 50, top 25. So rankings can sometimes be important. So consider that if that is important to you, okay? Any questions before I go on?
Sorry, I didn't get so much on what you said on about ranking. I didn't quite get that.
Okay, so great question. So in the United States, and not only the United States, but our universities, because we have so many, right? There's like thousands of universities in the US. Some people want to know, of these thousands, which one are the best? Like, which one of these schools are considered the best? So let me ask you, Stanley, when you think about schools in the United States, what's a school that comes immediately to mind? What's a name of a school that you know of?
Oxford University.
Which one?
Oxford. I don't know if Oxford is in the United States, right? Oxford.
No.
Oxford is in the UK.
Yes. Okay, that comes immediately to mind, right? Oxford University.
Yeah, comes to my mind.
Okay, so school like Oxford University, I believe, is the oldest or one of the oldest universities in the world. Now, the reason people know about Oxford University is it's considered a very prestigious school. It's old school, many scholarly people, many people graduate and they do very well. You hear Oxford University, someone tells you they went to Oxford, you're like, this person must be smart. So Oxford would be a ranked school in the world. There is a world ranking of schools. I believe it's called, what is the one for, and this, what is the world ranking called? Is it Q? What do we use for world ranking? Hold on.
You mean rated as the best?
Yeah, there is a website that would say, oh, this school is the best. Oh, okay. So there's a website called, I'll share my screen. 1 second. Okay, so I'm about to share my screen real quick. Okay, so there is this website called QS, right? QS. And what they do, they will say in every school around the world, including Nigeria, which I don't think is ranked, what schools are considered the best, right? And they'll have different criteria. How much the school has in what we call endowment. This is how they pay. How many people have graduated from that school, the careers people pursue outside of the school, the teaching, the quality of the teaching at that school. So for rank, they will have what they create a metric to measure this school's success. So it's like, oh, if I graduated from University of Ibadan, okay, how many people in this past year graduated? Of the 100, do all 100 of us graduate? Or did 20 of us graduate? And of the 20 of us, where are we working? And of the 20 of us that are working, how much are we making? So they will use this metric to say, these are the best schools in the country. So Chris or Stanley, or even Jessica, what school do you think is the #1 ranked university in the world? In the world.
For me,
actually, I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, Chris. Stanley.
For me, I'll still say Oxford University because the name is just like, I don't know whether it's from their publicity. It's just like the way when it comes to music, everybody hears about Michael Jackson. So to you, he's the best. So that's the same way I see Oxford University, because I've heard about it from as a child on TV. So there's always this thing about Oxford University. So to me, I feel like if you ask me, I would say is it should be top 10. But I don't know
Okay.
if it's the best. But I should say it. I mean, it should be top 10.
Okay.
Is it Harvard? Is it Harvard? Maybe Harvard
Ah,
University. I don't know.
uh,
Harvard.
Jessica, you have
Harvard.
any feedback?
Thank you. Harvard and Oxford. Yeah, two of them. Harvard and
Okay.
Oxford. Yeah,
Jessica,
Harvard
you
and
have,
Oxford.
okay, very good. Jessica, what do you think? Is she there?
Yes, I am. Can you repeat the question?
What is the #1 ranked school in the world?
Oh, I honestly, okay, I would say Harvard, or it's a school in Singapore. I forgot the name, but I know it's either Harvard or one school in Singapore.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's take a look. So the #1 ranked school in the world is actually MIT.
Wow.
So it's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It is a school literally across the street from Harvard. They're in the same area of each other in Massachusetts, and it is a technology-driven school. But you all were right in terms of Oxford being in the top. Oxford is #2. And then there's another school, they're kind of neck and neck. Stanford University, University of Cambridge in the UK. And then it goes on. And then Harvard is actually for this, I think this is for this year's ranking for 2022. Harvard is #5. And then it goes on to schools back in the UK, Imperial College, Switzerland, another school in the UK, University of Chicago. And you're right, Jessica, you mentioned Singapore. National University of Singapore is top 10. Another school in Singapore. Do I need to go to Singapore? What's happening in Singapore? University of Pennsylvania. Yeah, I hear some amazing and wealthy people. And their way of living, the quality of life in Singapore, I hear is beautiful, beautiful. My business partner outside of Horizon that I do with Miss Bellama, I also do, Stanley, you know, you've met Miss Maxine. She works at the 13th ranked school in the world, University of Pennsylvania, the excellent school. And then the list goes on and on. You know, unfortunately, I don't think we have any African schools on the list. If we go down, United States, China, Japan, Hong Kong, Canada. Okay, Canada's on here. University of Toronto, McGill.
Yeah, those are the top 2 schools in Canada.
Woo! Wow, yes. The school that I was director for, Johns Hopkins, 25th in the world, very, very in demand school. So anyway, my point was, Stanley, to answer your question, people around the world want to know which are the best schools. And usually the best schools in the United States are the most, and in Canada and the UK are the most difficult to get in because so many people apply to these schools. But it's good to know, and you can never know who they will select. If you say, Karen, how do I get into this schools? I can't tell you because their admission process is very, very complicated. Sometimes they accept some of the best students, and sometimes they will take risks and accept some students who may not seem like academically the best, but they believe this person has the potential. So I always tell you all as students, you know, you want to apply to, there are 3 categories of schools you apply to. What we call reach school, like this is impossible. I don't ever believe I can get into this school, but I said at least apply to at least one of these schools. Even if it seems impossible, believe in the possible. You never know, you never know. I have accepted students because their essay was so compelling, you know, that I took that risk. So you never know. So, and why it's good to apply one, they may say yes. And the great thing, especially in the US, if you get into these schools, like the MIT, Harvard, UPenn, you can be sure you're going to have financial aid because they're so wealthy. These schools, they don't even need students to pay. They have Harvard, what they call, Harvard has over, I want to say, $50 billion at Harvard, just one school. That's how much money Harvard has. So they don't need students to come to Harvard to pay. They have more than enough and they manage it for a long, even my school at Johns Hopkins University as undergrads, just undergrads, not grad. Students, if you are admitted, you don't have to, and you're under a certain threshold, you're like money, you don't have to pay. So anyway, back to the point, Stanley, is rankings is good to know because these are, if you go to one of these schools you see on this list, there are opportunities for you are endless. However, that doesn't mean that this is it. Just because, oh, if the school is not on the list, should I apply? Absolutely, because even some of the least known schools still give international students good opportunities, and it's up to you to navigate and figure out how to be successful. So it's good to know of these rankings because people know about these schools around the world, but it's okay if it's not highly ranked. In fact, sometimes it's good to look for the schools that are not highly ranked because they're looking for international students to help build their profile. Does that answer your question, Stanley?
Yes, very well.
Great. Okay, so we are going to go into, so next, let's see, I have a few minutes before Ms. Jessica comes on. What's on my agenda? Okay, so tools to effective searching. That's the last part we'll cover. And then you guys will hear from Ms. Jessica and then give you all, Chris, you're going to give me an update on your list, and then Stanley, you're going to begin your own list today. Let me get back to sharing my screen. Okay, so what you all, Chris, you have already started this process, and Stanley, you will start your own process today. Is you have to create a list of, okay, how many schools can I, Ms. Karen mentioned thousands in the United States. You're not going to apply to thousands. Ms. Jessica is going to talk about Canada. And then in the UK, I'll talk about that. And then our next session, which also has a number of schools. So you want to decide, oh, of all, though this is so much, it can be overwhelming. Okay, I need to find the ones that fit me based on my background, based on my degree, and based on what financial aid they may offer me as an international student. So you need to create a list, I say, of at least 10 schools, mix them up in Canada, maybe a couple in the US and in the UK. And then once you have that list, you'll be able to then, okay, here, the things that I mentioned to Ms. Karen, financial aid is number one. Okay, and this on the sheet here, okay, first, how much is this school? Oh, this so the school costs this much. Then I'm gonna look, what financial aid does this school offer me? You know, and then you put it down. So every school, you have to be, and it's so good to do this homework because eventually, once you start learning all these things, when you get ready for your visa interview, that's all you always have to think about. When I get ready for the visa interview, what are they gonna ask me? Sometimes they can ask you random things. They're like, how much is this school that you're applying to? You wanna be ready to know, oh, this school, you don't wanna be off guard. So you wanna know as much information about any school you're applying to, eventually the school you will get into. So once you're in, and then you're ready for your visa interview, whether it's to Canada, UK, or US, you're very confident, you're very clear, you know where the school is. I heard a student who got, an agent helped the student get into school, and then when the the visa interview, they're like, so, oh, are you excited to travel to your school? And the student was like, yes. And the person says, so where is the school? And the student had no idea what state, because the agent did all the work. So they denied him because he didn't know, he didn't prep. I don't even know why someone will let someone go for a visa interview and not prep their student, but it happens. So you want to be very, very knowledgeable. So doing this exercise of doing some research is going to help you be very, very knowledgeable. And then, you know, you can find different people. Stanley shared a group with me in Telegram that there are people applying to schools in the UK. And it can be helpful because there's thousands of people in it, and some people share very, very good information. But what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to send you, Stanley, out. Chris, you already have it. Stanley, I will send it to you. Is a sheet, it's an Excel sheet that let me show you what it looks like. And I look away because I have two screens. One screen. Okay, so it looks like this, where this is an example, either Chris or Daniel, another of our students who's he's already, he started, this is Miss Bellama's son as well. And Chris has this example as well, where here's a list of 10 schools, and you're going to fill out each of these columns. And don't get lazy. Some people, I don't want to. You really should take the time to, okay, Ms. Karen says, here's this school. Let me find a degree, okay? And then what is the application deadline? Do I need recommendations for this school? Do I need to write an essay? So you'll fill out each of these columns so you're clear what this school needs, whether, again, it's a school in the US, school in Canada, or school in the UK. And you'll see some schools make it very, very easy for you, while others may make it difficult. But it's important that you do this, okay? And then you're gonna say, but Miss, where do I search? How do I even know where to start? Okay, a couple of things. Myself and Miss Jessica, we are both business partners for a really great platform called Applyboard. It is a great search tool for you to, based on your background, like Stanley, you know your grades, you say, okay, this is my profile. Find me schools based on what I'm looking for. Cost. The only thing they don't have, which I wish they would build in there, is scholarship. They don't really say, okay, find me a school that has this scholarship. But once you find the school based on your academic background, you will then go, I always tell students, go to the actual school's websites and see, okay, the school says I'm admissible, but as an international student, can I get scholarship to this school? So you'll have to do an extra search. But let me go back to the presentation. I'll wrap this up in a minute so Ms. Jessica can come on. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Share my screen again. Am I frozen? My Wi-Fi is acting funky. Okay, so Can you all hear me? My Wi-Fi is a little wobbly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good.
I
Okay,
can hear
I can
so
hear you.
perfect, thank you. So where do you go to search for schools? And this is key, because sometimes you don't even know, like, what are the schools I'm searching for? One, absolutely, you can always ask me and say, Miss, what schools would you ask? But I really want to empower you to do this research. And then based on your research, then I will come back and say, oh yeah, this is a good program. Or if it's Canada, asking Ms. Jessica if you're applying to schools exclusively in Canada. Oh yes, if you use her services, because she is a business owner, and so you have to decide. So, but they're different online platforms, like the College Board you see listed here, schools on US News and World Reports, but a really easy search tool that we also exclusively have access to is through this platform called Apply Board. And they make it easier for you based on your background to say, okay, based on my background, what schools in Canada, US, and the UK could I gain admissions, as well as schools that if I didn't get scholarship, but I can afford it. If it's 10,000, 8,000 US, I can find my way to gather that money with friends, families, or in different ways, but it's affordable for me. Apply Board allows you to easily set those criteria to look for these schools. So you will each have, Stanley, I will email it to you. Chris, you already have it. And then next week, what I'm expecting is that you will, and for those of you who will be watching this later, you will come back next Saturday and you'll be sharing your list of here are the schools that I'm interested. And in between, you can say, if I'm having difficulty finding it, or you don't really know how to do this well, in between, reach out to me, but you will have this homework. And I'll be checking it next Saturday, and me and Ms. Bellamy will be checking it next Saturday to see how well you have done. And if you haven't done too well, giving you options, but you have to start this search, okay? Because once you do, whether again it's schools in the UK, Canada, you will feel much better and be more aware and more confident about moving forward in this process. Okay. Any questions? No questions? Okay, fantastic. Oh, Ms. Jessica shared a really great checklist, and she is going to end our program this, your afternoon, my morning. And I have to thank her because it was super last minute for me asking her to join us. And Jessica and I met last year. It was an online forum somewhere, I can't remember.
It was for Africans looking to study abroad or PhD graduates.
Yes, and we've stayed connected, and through that, and Jessica is the founder, CEO of Lifelong Collab. She is all things Canada, but also having dual citizenship from Ghana. So she understands and is very, very passionate about African students and supporting you, especially if you're considering options in Canada. She goes back and forth between Canada and the United States. And she's just a great person to know, and that I know will want to be part of helping you in this process if you choose to work with her. Again, specifically if you want to study. And she has great videos on, I was going to share her video, but she already has it up. She has great videos on YouTube that talks about the different Canadian school systems, life in Canada, Canada is actually much more affordable than the United, sometimes can be, let me say can be as affordable or more affordable than schools in the UK and in the United States. And the rate of how much more employable you are is another advantage. So she's going to talk about Canada. So please pay attention, and thank you again, Jessica, for joining us this morning. And without further ado, Jessica, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Karen. Hello, Stanley. Hello, Chris. Thank you so much. And thanks. Karen is like a mentor to me because she has so much experience in studying abroad and helping students and leading them to success. So and she called me, I was like, oh my God, no problem. Not a problem. So my name is Jessica, and I'm going to share my screen. Yes, my name is Jessica Opoku Amwa, and I'm born and raised in Toronto, but I do at the moment live between Toronto and Accra. So I'm an English tutor. So I actually help a lot of students all over the world who are interested in studying abroad, who English is not their first language. I help them in preparing for their IELTS or their TOEFL or any English exam that any academic institution requires of them. And on top of it too, I'm an educational consultant. So I help students who are looking to study in Canada in undergraduate programs, actually more in anyone who's looking to study even for high school, undergraduate and graduate programs. A little bit about my academic career. I went to York University, which is actually one of the largest universities in Canada. And I went to the Keele campus. So my university, we have two campuses, Keele and Glendon. The Keele is more English-speaking campus, and then the Glendon campus is more of a French-speaking campus. I majored in business, minored in public policy, and throughout my academic career, I was a part of the York United Black Student Association, where I was like a vice president of finance, and I was also a part of my business program where I focus on communications as well too. So I had a very lively academic career while in, a lively academic career. And this is a little picture of me graduating at university. It was a very wonderful day. So why study in Canada? I believe Stanley and Chris, you're both Nigerian. Am I correct? You're both Nigerian. And I actually work with a lot of Nigerians, Ghanaians, and Ivorians who are looking to study in Canada, but a lot of Nigerians that I speak to they are always talking about Canada now. There's a lot of, I guess, marketing by the Canadian government in demanding or asking students to come and study in Canada. So I hear a lot of Nigerians, a lot of Ghanaians who are actually, who used to make UK or US their top two choices in studying abroad, who are actually considering Canada now, which is wonderful because one of the reasons that I hear that they are looking to study in Canada is actually quality of life. So a lot of them eventually do want to settle in Canada, and they want to have a good quality of life for themselves and for their future families or the families that they have back home. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think every time I speak with them, I always hear a lot of shame, like I want to settle in Canada and I want to use school. There's nothing wrong with that at all. How many of us know people that went to UK, went to US, use education as the tool to lead them to to settle there, and it worked out for them and they're successful because of that. So there's nothing wrong with that. And Canada's one good option. Quality of life is amazing. I would say we're a very family nation. We do believe in family reunification. We have a lot of programs and services dedicated for families, even in the academic institution. And on top of it too, we have an economy that welcomes international students, specifically post-pandemic. Now, during the pandemic, there was a shortage of international students, and and a lot of international students had the opportunity who were there to step up and contribute to the Canadian economy during the pandemic period, and especially in regards to healthcare, retail, and supply chain. International students really stepped up during this time and post the pandemic. I mean, we are still in a pandemic, but the Canadian government recognizes that and sees that, you know what, we actually are having like a labor shortage or mismanagement in our labor market, and we need international students to not only gain skills, but also contribute to our economy. So this is a great opportunity right now to come and study in Canada. So one of the things, like Karen said, is our low tuition fees. It's relative. So for instance, I go to York University. I went to York University. It's expensive. The top two schools that we mentioned earlier, University of Toronto, McGill. So University of Toronto is in Toronto, McGill's in Montreal. They are expensive. But all in all, we do have affordable programs, affordable schools. So a lot of people, especially now during the pandemic, are very cost conscious, especially for our African students. I know from what I hear in like Nigeria and in Ghana, our currencies are devalued as of recently. So you know how much we pay for tuition versus the last 2 years, it's expensive for us. So we are becoming more cost conscious, especially when we want to travel abroad, because not only are we paying for tuition, maybe we need extracurricular help when we're in school. We have to pay for our living expenses, so accommodation, food, transportation. Like we think about all these things. So that's one advantage in studying in Canada, is our fees are relatively affordable, and compared to US and UK, it is relatively affordable compared to them. Another great thing about studying in Canada is we do have a lot of internship opportunities to take advantage of. A lot of our university programs have built-in co-op programs, paid co-op programs, paid internship programs, where not only can you make some money while you're in school, you have that experience. And a lot of students that take advantage of this, most of the time, it ends up leading into a work opportunity upon graduation. So that's one great opportunity to take advantage of. And our degrees are internationally recognized degrees. I know so many Ghanaians that came to Canada, studied in Canada, had a bit of work experience or no work experience, went back to Ghana and are working for top banks or working for top multinational corporations in Africa. So people do recognize our degree. Our degree is well respected just as much as any US degree or any UK degree. So this is something to take advantage of. And one of the great things about Canada is we have our postgraduate work program. So if you go to a designated learning institution, which is so many, we have at least, well, just to let you know, we have actually 97 public universities and about 104 colleges. And then we do have, like in Ontario, we have around 450 private career colleges or private universities or colleges. But we always recommend to go to a designated learning program because it works in your advantage if you do choose to pursue settling in Canada or having work experience after you graduate. So in order to qualify for a postgraduate work permit, you need to have a minimum of 2 years in an academic institution. And once you have those, once you committed to 2 years at an academic institution and you received a diploma or a degree from it, you are eligible for a minimum of, or a maximum of 3 years of work permit, which eventually can lead you to getting your permanent residency. And with your permanent residency, you have to have at least 1,000 days in living in Canada, which would make you eligible for the Canadian citizenship. So this postgraduate work permit is a great pathway that can lead you into citizenship if you so choose to stay in Canada. So that is an amazing opportunity to take advantage of. And again, a lot of Africans are looking for quality of life, and that includes having work experience, having a job, and taking care of ourselves. And again, there's a pathway to an easy PR, which can lead you to a citizenship. So one way that I always recommend students, like Karen said, we have different types. We have students that want to have that recognized degree so that they can go back and really be attractive in their labor market. And on top of it too, we have students that want to use education as a way to settle, you know? So what I always recommend, if you are looking for that pathway, definitely look at the cost of the school, but also look at which area in Canada do you want will be beneficial to lead you into settling in Canada. So we have around, I believe, 11 provinces and 3 territories, and each province has their own permanent residence program or postgraduate work program that can be advantageous to you. So they have, for instance, in Ontario, if you are in, for instance, an engineer, you went to school for an engineer, you can actually, it can fast track you into permanent residency. So you can have a work permit from 1 year, and after that, you can get a PR after that, based on your the degree you're in, which is a labor shortage in that area. So they want to fast track you because they do want more skilled labor in that province. And another province such as Prince Edward Island or Manitoba, if you're a nurse, for example, they can fast track you into receiving your permanent residency, because in that area, in that province, this is what their needs. So they have a stream that can lead you to that direction. So I always say, definitely look at the cost of the school, but also look at the province that you are in and what pathways of Canadian immigration works best for you. So the eligibility requirements to study in Canada. So I know in America, you need to have like an ACT for undergraduate, like you have to do standardized tests when you are applying. In Canada, you don't need you do not need any standardized tests when applying for an academic program. Only thing they will ask of you is your final years in high schools and the overall grade point average for that. And if you do want to pursue a graduate program, they look at your last 2 years at your undergraduate program, and that will be assessed. For African students that are looking to maybe, if they're in mid-year in university or mid-year in their graduate program and they want to transfer their credits over into Canada, unfortunately, we are not eligible for that. I don't know why. I don't know why, but we are not eligible for that. So if you are looking to transfer mid-year in your undergraduate or in your graduate program, it's not going to work. You actually do have to start all over. But the one benefit of studying in Canada is we have different academic years. So there's a traditional September, you start in September, you finish in April, but we actually have some programs, including graduate programs, that start in January and April as well. So that's great. So maybe you missed the September deadline, there's a January deadline, and there's an April deadline that you can take advantage of. And each school has their own academic deadlines. It does vary. So definitely take a look at research a school that you are interested in and see if they have these rolling deadlines that can work for your timeline in wanting to study abroad. So finances, like we said earlier, our our tuitions and fees are competitive, especially against the US and European academic institutions. When it does come to our grad scholarships, I would say we do have each school has their own entrance scholarships and their own international scholarships for international students. But when we are talking about scholarships, like what Ms. Karen shared, I do want to share one scholarship if you are interested in studying in for a graduate program. It's one of the biggest scholarships. It's called the Vanier Scholarship. I'm just going to share it on here for you guys. Oh yeah, here it is. I'm going to share it in the group so that you guys can take a look at it and research. It's great for anyone who's interested in graduate programs. It's exclusively for international students. You do have to be nominated, which is not that difficult, especially for Nigerians, because there's been so many Nigerians that have applied for it. So a lot of academic institutions in Nigeria are already subscribed to the Vanier scholarship portal. So I always encourage students to take advantage of it. This is one of the best scholarships. I believe it's $50,000 per year. So definitely take advantage. And I will share a few more scholarships throughout our conversation. So that is one I would absolutely recommend. Another thing about our finances is with most schools, in terms of paying your tuition, you can either pay for a semester or for a full year. The schools are okay with that. The only thing that I would recommend for us is to pay for a full year. The only reason I recommend that is for your immigration. So it is more advantageous and it is more attractive to the immigration officer when you're able to pay for your full upfront tuition, or if you're able to get support in that as well too. So I always recommend to pay for your full tuition so that when you arrive, like Ms. Karen said, you figure out how to maneuver around the education system. And when you're on the ground, you actually have more opportunities to receive scholarships and etc. Alrighty. So the estimated cost for tuitions in Canada is around $15,000 to $25,000. And this is for an undergraduate program. For a graduate program, you're looking around $17,000 to $35,000, roughly. And these are for like a master's program in business, in science is always on the high end, about around $25,000 or $22,000 to $30,000 a year. The living cost in Canada is around for a student is around $7,000 to $12,000. But I would say around $10,000 to $15,000, especially in a city such as Toronto and Vancouver, which is the most expensive cities in Canada. The cost of living is high, but if you're a little outside of Toronto or in a suburban area or a rural area, you can live quite comfortably with $7,000 to $12,000. So employment opportunities. So I did hear Karen say that in the US, for international students, you can only work on campus and you're only allowed to work 20 hours on campus. In Canada, the great benefit is, yes, you are allowed to work off campus as well. So you can work on campus, but when you work off campus, you can work anywhere you want off campus as long as it is 20 hours a week. If you go over 20 hours a week, you are breaking your study permit guidelines, but every student study permit allows students to work up to 20 hours per week. And during the summertime, you can work for 40 hours a week. So that is amazing. Yes, it doesn't cover a lot of things, but it does give you opportunities to make some money. It gives you opportunities to build your career or to build your resume. So this is one good advantage in studying in Canada is not only can you work on campus, you can work off campus as well. And there's no there is no penalties for it so long as you work within the 20-hour, as long as you work within 20 hours. There's a lot of co-op programs available now. And on top of it too, after graduation, you can start your career. Yes, it's a great option. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions about this? I talk very fast, so. All righty, I guess
I have a question.
Yes.
So say if as a student from Nigeria, say if I'm applying to grad school, but I may not have the best grades, my results were not high. What options do I have to finding, one, do I have options? That's number one. And then two, if I do have options, how can I afford a school in Canada?
Absolutely. So there's, for graduate program, if you say like for example, maybe your marks are okay. We have so many graduate programs, and I always recommend maybe students is, of course, for top schools, but we have schools in rural provinces, such as Saskatchewan, such as New Brunswick, where I would say they're a little bit more lenient. And it's actually maybe a blessing in disguise because they may be a little bit more lenient and they're more rural, and it gives you an opportunity to go into the environment, also to gain work experiences because they are looking for a lot of co-op, which can also help you supplement maybe your academic scores. Also, too, like you said earlier, a compelling personal statement is going to. In Canada, I know a lot of students, especially from India, who did not have the best marks, but they did have a compelling.
Have mercy on me.
They did have a compelling personal statement, and they were able to get accepted into the academic institutions. So and then for affordability, for example, looking at rural schools, a lot of rural schools, especially when it comes to graduate programs, are very affordable. You can get a program for around $16,000, $17,000. And I know it's still a lot, but in comparison to like for York University, where a program is around $25,000, it is helpful. And you're able to pay not all of it, you can pay for part of it and arrive in Canada. And from there, you can still continue to look out for scholarships. But
now, one of our other students, he's not in here, but he didn't he didn't do very well at all in school, and he finished his undergrad. I think he's, I don't know, is anything lower than what's like is first class, second class?
Oh, third
class. Is there a fourth class? Or is it, where does it end? I don't know.
That's a good question.
He didn't do well, and for other reasons, but he applied for a diploma program in Canada, and he got in. I was like, wow, this is fantastic.
Yes.
But I wanted to know, is that a good, and we talked about this, but I want the group to know, is that a good option for someone to pursue a diploma program in Canada?
Yes, I had a student very similar in Ghana. They did not do well in the university. I suggested to them to apply for college because some of our colleges have postgraduate diplomas, and then from there apply for your master's. So actually he applied for a postgraduate work permit, a postgraduate diploma in supply chain at a college. He did for 1 year, and there was eligible to apply, and he actually got admitted afterwards to a very prestigious university for a 1-year master program. So not only was he able to come into Canada and still get a postgraduate diploma, which is actually really good in the Canadian labor market because those programs give you the work experience. But so not only was he that, but he was to apply to a good school and still get a master's degree and still meet his 2-year postgraduate work permit, which allowed him to continue to stay in Canada and still get that work experience. So there's so many options to take advantage of. And like Karen said, when you go on Apply Board and you are doing your research, definitely add in college. So you see the option for university, but add in college if your marks are not that great, because that can work in your interest. And I know for myself in Canada, I know many people that went to university, did well in university, but after university, they still decided to go to college and get that postgraduate diploma so that it can be more attractive in the marketplace, because those diplomas gives you the work experience. There's co-op, there's a lot of project-based learning there. That's one option to take advantage of, especially when maybe your marks are not the best. But even if your marks are the best, it's still an advantage, especially if you're looking for employment.
That's fantastic. Now, can a student work and have the same working options on the diploma as a diploma student as they would if they were just a grad or undergrad student?
Oh yes, any college, university, masters, as so long as you're over 18 years old, you're eligible to work 20 hours a week.
Excellent.
On and
Thank
off
you.
campus. Yes.
On and off campus. That is really nice, especially off campus, which we
Oh
don't
yes.
offer as much in the United States. Oh, okay.
Yes. Oh yes.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
I have a few more.
Oh, sorry. And Miss Bellama has joined the group. Hi, Miss Bellama. She raised her hand. Yes.
Hi. Sorry.
Yes. Sorry, you were doing 10,000 things. I told you not to worry. But thank you for joining.
So
You're welcome.
Hi, Belma. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so for our students, and thank you for the session. All I see is lifelong collab.
Oh, you don't see my face?
No, not your name. Lifelong. That's
Oh,
probably
in her-
Oh, so my name is Jessica.
Okay, so Jessica, thank you so much. I joined halfway into your session, but it was quite informative. So my question, two things for Nigerian. Are you
Mhm.
Nigerian by
I'm
any
Ghanaian.
chance?
Ghanaian.
Ghanaian, okay.
I
All
love
right,
my
you are-
Nigerian people.
Yes, you're my sister.
Yeah.
So, interestingly, my best teacher in high school was a Ghanaian, my geography teacher.
Wow.
Mr.
That's
Ablo remains the best teacher I have ever had all my life.
Oh,
Nice to hear.
So,
I hear that
yeah.
a lot from Nigerians in Nigeria. I had a lot of
Yeah.
teachers.
Excellent teacher. So yeah, so I'm really Nigerian already by that relationship. So so the big thing for Nigerian students,
Mhm.
funding. Sorry, there's some noise on the background. I hope it's not interfering. We're
It's okay.
preparing, there's a project. I'm basically on a project site.
Mhm.
I'm setting up a big event. So funding.
Mhm.
And then talking about just getting into the last conversation about students who don't have this fantastic profile. So your recommendation from what I gather is that the best way is for them to route through a postgraduate diploma, which is 1 year. And then they now go on to a master's program for another year. So that's 2 years. So if they weren't doing the going through the postgraduate route, would that be 1 year or 1.5? If they're going direct into masters?
Most master's programs in Canada are 2 years. They do have 1 year intensive programs. And it depends. Are you looking to settle in Canada afterwards? Because if you do 1 year in Canada in masters, you're only eligible for 1 year work permit. Now, if you do 2 years, you're eligible up to 3 years for a work permit. So it depends on what is it that you are looking for after graduation.
Okay, so of course, most people coming out of Nigeria want the opportunity to work for at least 2-3 years, and then they're able to make a decision as to what next. You know, so why I was asking the question is I'm trying to look at the numbers, the math around doing a diploma 1 year and a master's 1 year. So if by default, most master's programs are 2 years, then there's really no difference between doing in terms of time and money. It doesn't look like there's a difference between going through the postgraduate diploma route. That's what it's looking like. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out understand how that is.
Yeah, no problem. That's a good question. I would say I will use an example of the same student. So when he did the postgraduate diploma in supply chain, his program was actually 13,000 Canadian dollars. So it was US, let's say maybe around $10,000 for his graduate diploma. When he went to Beaufort Laurier, his master's program, which was a 1 year intensive program, it was around 22,000 Canadian dollars.
Okay.
Here. So universities are typically much expensive versus college. So
I see.
So the cost is much different. It's a long run.
Okay.
And,
Okay. So okay.
And then one thing too, like I said, if you do a postgraduate diploma, it is 1 year. So it only allows you to do, it only gives you a 1 year work
I
permit.
got that.
So a lot of students, if they want to stay, they take an extra, they end up doing 2 postgraduate diplomas, or they do a postgraduate diploma and a postgraduate certificate, which is 8 months, which would keep them eligible to for the postgraduate work permit, of which allows you to work for up to 3 years.
Okay. All right. Okay, looks like they're really doing the postgraduate diploma doesn't add on too much money, maybe half of what it would have been for a normal year on top.
Oh yeah, it's
Okay,
very
I'm clear.
cost friendly, very cost friendly.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Can I say something?
Yes.
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 Okay, yeah, back because this topic I'm really interested in it, the postgraduates. And then you actually specified on people that don't have like very good results.
Mhm.
The postgraduate is I don't know, is that supposed to be a university, or that's like, you know, something totally different? A college. I don't know what the college is because I studied in Nigeria, so I really don't know
Polytechnic?
what.
Is it? I think in Africa you call it Polytechnic.
Okay, Polytechnic. Okay.
Yes,
Polytechnic.
like
Okay, that's good.
I'm sorry, yeah, Polytechnic institution.
Okay, so what you're saying is the person can go into a polytechnic for a year,
Yes, please. Mhm.
and then after 1 year, the person can now decide if he or she wants to apply and go into like a real university
Yes,
for
that
a
is
master,
Yes.
for a master
Yes.
program.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's
All right.
good.
So a lot of students, I will speak mainly for like Ghanaian students. A lot of students I have met they didn't have first class or second class, but their families wanted to support them in traveling abroad. So this was one of the routes that they took. They did one student I have right now. They're doing, I believe, computer information technology. So they're applying for Conestoga College, which is in Waterloo, Ontario. Their program is around $14,000. So it's only for 1 year, which is 8 months. And then afterwards, they are planning to apply for Wilfrid Lawyer for a 1 year intensive master program. So the program got them into Canada. It actually gives them great workplace skills. So information technology is in high demand right now. So not only did they go to school, they have that hands-on experience and they have the diploma to go with it, but it's attractive now in the academic space as well too. So to me, it's also a win-win with a lot of these programs, and a lot of Canadians take advantage of it themselves too. A lot of Canadians I know did 4 years, but they're like, you know what? I want to go to Polytechnic to get my hands-on experience to be more attractive in the Canadian marketplace. So I would strongly suggest this. So if you're applying with Apply Board, always add in college, and you will see on that option postgraduate certificate. It's a great option to add into your research. Yeah. So another thing too, which I shared in the group, is study permits or study dealing with immigration in Canada. It's a pretty, compared to the US or other places, we don't have an interview process. It's all done online nowadays. And the only time you meet up with any immigration offices when you're going to do your biometrics, for example. So for instance, when you're applying to Canada, I just want to share the website, because this is the best way to get your research, is on the Canadian Immigration Canada website. So just a few things is the only.
Hold on before you go. Let me just make sure I heard that, because I know nothing about, very little about Canada.
Okay.
You're saying, okay, so when students are applying for visa to the US, they have to go for a visa interview. They have to meet with a visa agent, and they ask them a couple of questions, and that can get them in or it can shut them out. You're saying for a Nigerian student, when they are, if they get accepted and they get the visa, There's no interview?
No interview.
Really?
No interview.
I've
However,
never-
we have a
okay.
strong refusal rate.
Okay, so, okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to hear that again, and then I'll
Yes.
let you complete. Okay, thank you. Very good.
Yeah, we don't have
Excellent.
any interviews at all. The only things that you would definitely need when studying in Canada, well, one thing immigration strongly recommends is to work with a Canadian registered immigration consultant. And I know I'll speak for Ghana, anybody can say they can help you with visa. We always strongly encourage to work with a Canadian registered immigration consultant, and going on the Canadian website, it can lead you to identify who is a Canadian registered immigration consultant. But you can also apply yourself. There's nothing wrong with that as well. The only things you will need is your proof of acceptance. Any designated learning institution will provide you that letter of acceptance alongside your tuition fees. You have to show, of course, your proof of identity. So your passport, financial support. This is where I see a lot of, especially Nigerians and Ghanaians, get refused. It's mainly how they show their proof of financial support. Because a lot of Nigerians, a lot of Ghanaians, we do have the funds. It's the way we showcase it, from what I heard from immigration. So in order to prove your funds, you can show a proof of a Canadian bank account, a guaranteed investment certificate. So this is one option that Nigerians have an advantage over Ghanaians, because a few banking institutions work with Nigerians in guaranteed investment certificates, which is a GIC. Can you share the links to Canadian? Oh, yes. I shared a document in the, let me share it again. I shared the document in the group. I will share it again to you.
I couldn't open it for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, I think it wasn't able to open.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't able to open.
Yeah, on my end. I don't know if anyone can open it on their end. Ms. Bellama, Chris, or Daniel, or.
Were you guys all able to?
Can you all open that, what Miss Jessica just posted?
If anything,
Someone check.
share the website as well. That way you can also have two resources, but the checklist is also good to have. So you're on track. So with the guaranteed investment certificate, it's essentially you working with the bank, and with that one, you have to put in a minimum of $10,000 into the investment certificate. It works for you guys? Perfect. Also, too, you can show proof of a student or education loan from a bank. You can show your bank statements for the past 4 months. So they just want to see what kind of activity is going on in your bank statements. A bank draft that can be converted into Canadian dollars. You also must show, of course, your proof of paid tuition. So like I said earlier, you can pay your tuition partially for maybe the first semester, but for immigration, it is attractive to show a full payment. A letter from this person or school giving you money, so your scholarships that you receive is really helpful in your application. And on top of it too, when you are showing proof of support, when you show that you have paid your tuition, one thing they want to see is how are you supporting yourself throughout the year. So there is a minimum of $10,000 that you must show that this is how much. This is the minimum required to show that of your living expenses. Also, too, if you are a family, like a husband or wife, it's additional $4,000 for the additional person, and additional $3,000 for each person. I see someone had a question. Was it Chris? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I seen someone raise their hand. So this is how you can show a minimum. So showing your tuition plus $10,000 is really good in immigration process. Once again, I recommend using a registered immigration consultant in Canada, and I can recommend a few to you who are really, really good that I work with as well, and they will lead you in the right direction with that. Of course, a letter of explanation is really, really helpful in your application. And yeah, that's the main things in regards to studying abroad, or in terms of your application for immigration. So this is something that I would recommend taking advantage of. So I think I went over. I wanted to talk a bit more about each region in Canada, but maybe Karen, another time I'm more than willing to come back, or may I continue? It's up to you.
You all hear me? Yes, this is great. So please continue. And if
Okay.
you all need to drop off because we are past time, feel free. But I think this is such great information that Ms. Jessica is sharing that you should stay tuned in. And those of you who need to drop off, it is recorded. So you will get this as a recording, but I think everyone should stay on and hear everything. I'm learning so much, so I need you to finish your presentation.
Okay.
And then we will, again, have this recorded, so anyone who needs to watch it later and share it, please do. And definitely thank you. Daniel, he says, I'm here for the long haul. Okay, Daniel.
Daniel.
All right, so let me stop talking and let me let you go on, Ms. Jessica.
Does anyone have any questions in regards to immigration? I know.
Oh, I had a question. So
yes.
if I don't have the additional $10,000, like I have my tuition, I know that will be covered. Say if I don't have that additional 10,000, does that put me at a disadvantage, or I need to have it? If I don't have it, don't even attempt to apply.
So the main thing is to show the proof of funds. So you have
just proof. Okay.
Yeah, proof of funds. Yes. Yeah, I know quite a few, especially African students, they can show that they have proof of funds, but then when they do come to Canada, they do kind of figure it out. You know, that it's a lot, but the main goal is to show that you do have the proof of funds. And this is where working with a registered Canadian immigration consultant is very, very key.
Okay. So as long as I show that proof,
yes.
the funding is there,
yes,
that's important. And then this other question I have, oh God, it just skipped my mind about Canada. There's a proof of funding. I'll get back to it when I remember, but it was about funding and I just can't remember.
Oh yes, in regards to scholarships now, I'm going to also send a link as well right now. Most schools, actually all schools have their own scholarships in Canada. And then the government also has scholarships as well too. So the ones I put in the group, the Vanier one is really good. Also, the other one was, it was the Trudeau Foundation scholarship. It's a very old scholarship. It's really, really good to take advantage of. Another website I would recommend is Opportunity Desk. Opportunity Desk often has a lot of resources for Canadian scholarships. I think there's opportunities for Africans and then there's Opportunity Desk. I find that they are always on point with sharing scholarships. And then the Google Doc that I just sent you guys has a list of scholarships in institutions, government scholarships, and then also like needs-based scholarships as well.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay. I do have a question.
I have a question too.
Yes.
So you share with me and Stanley, I'm sorry, I just didn't want to forget this. So remember your question, please. You shared with me yesterday, Empower. It's I guess it's a loan. Are you going to talk about that later on? Can you talk about that at the end?
I'll be happy to.
Can that be another, for those who won't get scholarship, but can that be an opportunity for students to use this Empower loan to show proof of, financial resources?
Absolutely. So what is talking about is called Empower, which is a international student loan financing organization. And essentially, I always recommend, if you don't have any like support, family support, you don't have any savings, you don't have much in scholarships or no scholarships at all, this is a great last resort where they don't ask much. It's mostly great for those who are looking into graduate programs, mostly for graduate programs. If you don't have much, this is one opportunity, and they award you up to $25,000 per year. So, which is great because you can then use some of the money for your tuition and also have some funds left over for your living expenses, which you can also use for the immigration process. So that's one avenue I would also encourage to take advantage of. And with that Empower program, in America, they work with several schools in America. In Canada, they do work with a limited amount of schools, which is great because a lot of these schools are often the prestigious schools in Canada. So this is something I would highly encourage those to take advantage of, especially when you're going into like the University of Toronto, the McGill, the University of British Columbia, which the tuitions can be relatively expensive. So that's one option for financing your degree in Canada.
Excellent. Okay.
Stanley, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. I'm talking about the bank statement and then
Yes.
showing the proof that you can afford to pay your fees. Does
Yes.
it necessarily have to be your own account, or if you have someone who you believe that will be sponsoring you, can the person show their own bank statement instead of yours?
Yes, you can show someone else's bank statement. So if someone is sponsoring you, there's a process for that. Again, working with an immigration consultant will be very, very helpful in making sure that your package is packaged well. So I know with a sponsor, they do have to have, it's recommended to have an affidavit of support that shows that the person is committed to sponsoring you. They understand the process for it. And on top of it too, they have to show their birth certificate, their passport, just to show maybe it's a distant relative, maybe it's an uncle, just to show some type of what kind of relationship do you guys have. With the proof of funds, what they're mostly looking for on your bank statement is the activity. Are you working? Do you have a business? What is going in and out of your bank? I mean, what kind of activity is going in and out of your accounts? At times, from what I know, like in Ghana, a lot of people, they do this and then they just throw the money in their account. And then here's my bank statement. But an immigration officer would be like, well, where did this money come from? We don't see any activity. It could just be you put the money in and you take the money out. So the most important thing is to show the activity in your accounts. And then, of course, the balance is very important. But again, working with an immigration consultant will be really, really helpful to guide you throughout this step. All righty. Did you have another question, Stanley?
Not yet, for now.
Okay. Does anyone else have another question? Or any other question? Okay. No worries. If you have any questions.
Yes, I have one more question, sir.
Okay, Stanley. Okay.
Yeah, and you also said it is very good for someone to pay the full full fees. I just want to use the word fees. So what in a situation whereby you've paid the complete fees and you still get rejected by the immigration, what happens?
Oh, so two options. You can apply again. You can reapply. And if you choose, you know what, this is not for me anymore, they will definitely refund all your money back. It does take between 8 to 12 weeks with most academic institutions to get your refund. As long as you show the rejection letter, they will refund you the full money. Just only thing you might lose is I think about $500 in administration fees. But we do highly encourage those to reapply again, because with immigration in Canada, they'll let you know this is the reasons why you've been rejected. And working with the immigration consultant, they have more power to request immigration notes because immigration notes will give you a little bit more detailed information as to, well, why is it he paid all his tuition? Well, what's the issue? And then from there, they know, okay, you know what, maybe his packaging did not accurately explain, the funds in his account or his finances or who's supporting who. So yes, it sucks that you may be rejected, but we always encourage those to apply again. And definitely working with an immigration consultant, you can take advantage of the power that they have because they do represent you in front of Immigration of Canada. I think I seen Chris or had a question.
So you also talked about an online interview. So I want to believe there will be interviews.
No online interview.
No interviews at all.
No interviews at all. No. We don't have any interviews, but that's why your application is really important, that you really got to take your time on it. There's no interview process at all. No interview process. The only time you will have a engagement with any Canadian official is when you're going to do your biometrics. That is the only time. And when you arrive in Canada, you meet an immigration officer. We don't do any interviews, but in Canada is known to reject students a lot. And for West Africans, I can say for Nigerians and Ghanaians, the number one reason of rejection is not accurately showing their financial, their personal financial information properly.
So I cannot emphasize enough, as Ms. Jessica mentioned, if you are applying to school in Canada, you will be admitted, because I just had a number of my students admitted, but is that proof? Canada is very, very stringent on having all of your, since like you said, and Stanley, as we're repeating, you're not gonna talk to anybody. You're not gonna take your documents. No one is going to call you to a window and ask you any questions. So all your paperwork has to speak for itself. Yes. So it's about really being clear. Okay, do I have everything on that checklist properly that Ms. Jessica shared? So Canada makes it simpler, but you also want to have everything clearly completed, so there's no question. But I do love that Canada, like you said, if you are not accepted, the visa is denied, the school will give you back your money minus maybe a fee or so, but that you will get your money back, which US, I guess, is the vice versa. We'll send you the visa and then you don't technically pay the school yet. Like you just have to show that you can pay. So we're not gonna take your money first. You're gonna show you can pay, and then Bellarmine, you can correct me because you've done this more times.
Yeah. Yeah.
You show you can pay, and then after you and sorry, Jessica and Stanley, you all did not get to meet Ms. Bellama and Daniel, who joined us. They're busy. They're doing getting ready for a big event, so they couldn't join us earlier. But I'm glad that they could. Ms. Bellama is she's my twin, well, my academic twin sister in Nigeria, and she just loves supporting young people who are going through this process. And I'm just so blessed to have her, and like you, who are on ground in country to help young men and women in this process. And Daniel is one of the last of her, one of our students, let me just say hers, a student in the process, also applying to grad school in the United States, and they're both in Nigeria. So thank you guys for joining us.
Nice.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I couldn't. I love to really listen to the video, to the recording, and hopefully we can get back to Jessica with questions. Jessica, would that be okay? Like when I listen to the video, I'm guessing I'll probably have a lot of questions. So just so that we can help the students, because a lot of them are always trying to make decisions, whether US or Canada. Yes. And then we want to be able to advise them on the pros and cons, and especially based on their specific context. So if we see a student and we review them, and then we just know that this student is probably more suited for Canada, so we just send them in that direction, and then for the US. And the way we work After assessing, we really do not want to have rejections.
Amen.
We don't like that. So far, we haven't had any, because we do the work and it's thorough and we can predict. Yeah, it's like you can check all the boxes and you know that this is done. And if we think that someone isn't ready or there are gaps, then you don't go to the next steps. We won't advise you to go to the next steps. So so that's why we probably will get back to you with some questions. Karen, on the last word I heard you say, you were talking about for US, you don't pay any money. They don't want to see, or in fact, it's not even an advantage for you to pay your school fees if you're applying to the US, because, you know, that makes you look desperate. And the US is not, they're not even looking for how much money you have in your account, quote and unquote. The US is interested in the source of funding. Is it sustainable? Is the fund sustainable? Of course, we want to see that the funds are there, but that's not the primary thing. They want to see the integrity of the funding source. And you pay your funds when you arrive to the US. You get your visa, you get into the country before you pay. You even have opportunity to start classes, you know, because you pay. But so they just want to make sure before they give you the visa that funding source, and they are really, you know, they don't look at your application on the surface. They're going below the surface and they're checking all that. So that's it. That's why a lot of Nigerians students get visa rejections, because they don't really understand how the decisions are made, you know, for students going to the US. If you just look at the surface, oh, I need this amount, I need to show that I have this or I have that, and then you think you're ready, you just get rejected, because they're looking at where is this fund, well, they're following the money, they are tracing the funding source, they're looking at the relationships and all that. So, but for Canada, interestingly, from what you said, Canada seems to sound like the UK, because for the UK,
like a mixed bag.
Pardon, you pay. They want to see that you paid.
Yes.
So you're at an advantage when you've made your payments. And for UK, they even want to see that you had the money like 28 days or so. I don't know if that's how it works in Canada, you know.
4 months.
So if you have the money, they probably won't be bothered about the source of the money if you've done it and you've made payments, you know, so which is really different from the very opposite of the US, you know. So I'll listen to the video, Jennifer, and I believe I have a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for
It's a pleasure.
For showing us the way.
Okay. No
And we look forward to more engagement with you, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you.
For Canada.
Yes.
Okay, Daniel, your hand is raised, or are we just saying hi?
I'm saying hi.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let Ms. Jessica finish her presentation so we can wrap this up and let you all get back to the rest of your day.
All right.
Tell me to leave.
No, you have to stay and listen unless you're doing,
yes.
You're doing, you know, you're head woman in charge. So you have a love for you to stay, but just we're gonna all mute ourselves so we can let Jessica finish her presentation.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I apologize for taking long. I just wanted to give you guys as much.
No, it is not long. This is like amazing information. So take as long as you need to take. We're all good.
No worries. So I just wanted to share, when you're doing your research, at looking at each area in Canada and how it can be an advantage for you, because we do have 10 major provinces, 3 territories. And I'm just gonna go just in each region really quickly. So we have the Maritime province, which is New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland and Labrador, which is 1 province. And the Maritimes is more on the east coast of Canada, very east coast. One of the major cities there are Halifax, Charlottetown, Fredericton. I know lots of Nigerian students that study in Fredericton and Halifax, for example, because the cost of living there is cheaper. The tuitions are cheaper there. There actually is quite, I noticed there's one university, it's called Crandall University, which I will write there. they have scholarships for African students specifically. So I'm just gonna write it there so you guys can do your research on them. Crandall University is a good university to take advantage of. The price is great. This university is the University of Prince Edward Island, which is very reputable. One thing I love about this university that's very attractive right now for a lot of international students is their nursing program. Their nursing program right now is around $14,000, which is really cheap in Canada. And it's really competitive because right now in Canada, nursing is in high demand. Because one thing about nursing here is upon graduation, you are definitely guaranteed a job because we have such a shortage of nurses, especially during the pandemic. So you can work as a nurse in the hospital, you can be a nurse in the community. We are in high demand of that. So this is one university to take advantage of. Prince Edward Island is a beautiful, small island, but it's very affordable for a lot of international students. And yeah, the average tuition is around $14,300. Another area in Canada is the West Coast, which is mainly British Columbia. So British Columbia is one of the most expensive provinces in Canada. It's beautiful to live there. The quality of life is amazing. We call it the California of Canada. And one university that I would recommend or take advantage of is Thompson Rivers University, which is in Kamloops. So Kamloops is a little bit more of a suburban rural region in British Columbia, but they do have a lot of programs for postgraduate, for trades, certificate, graduate degrees. It's one of the more affordable schools in British Columbia. In British Columbia, there's another top 3 school there. It's called University of British Columbia and Simon Fraser University. These are amazing schools. They're very competitive. They're really expensive. And the cost of living in that area is quite expensive because it is in Vancouver. But again, if you are a student looking for maybe just the prestige, those 2 universities are something to are schools to take advantage of. And quite a few, especially East African students, I find, do attend those schools quite a lot. Another area in Canada is the Prairies, which is another affordable area. So Maritimes and the Prairies, if you're looking for really affordable, low tuition, these are the 2 regions to take advantage of. And on top of it too, if you're looking to, I guess, be fast-tracked into permanent residencies, these are definitely the 2 regions because they do have immigration streams upon graduation. Because these are areas that do have low population, but at the same time too, they have a lot of natural resources. So the labor is needed in those areas. So the Prairies are Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. And one school I would recommend is it's not MIT, MITT. And it's a great school. The cost, the tuition is affordable. It's in Winnipeg, which is it's a major city in Manitoba. And it's a school that I absolutely recommend. Another school in the Prairies is Southern Alberta Institute of Technology and the University of Lethbridge. These are amazing schools in Alberta. Alberta is, I'm comparing to America, it's like our Texas of Canada. And there's a lot of oil, a lot of natural resources there. So there is a labor shortage in that area. The cost of living is affordable just because there's not a lot of taxes in that province. So this is something to take advantage of as well too. A lot of students, even a lot of people from Toronto are moving to Alberta because the opportunities are there. So we are moving over there. This is something to think about as well too. And these areas, again, when it comes to maybe looking to settle in Canada, to fast track your way into maybe getting a permanent residency, which can lead you in the direction of a Canadian citizenship, these areas offer immigration opportunities. So like I said earlier, looking at low cost and looking at your provinces is definitely something to research if you are looking to maybe settle in Canada. If you're looking for maybe a prestige to take back home, to be more competitive in the Nigerian labor market, in the Ghanaian labor market, definitely there's, again, other schools available. And then the most popular area to study in Canada is Central Canada, which is Ontario and Quebec. So Ontario, which is where I'm from, I'm born and raised, I study there. We have Toronto, Ottawa is another, Ottawa is the capital of Canada, but they have amazing universities there. And then we have Quebec for our Francophone. So of course, Canada is a bilingual country. We speak both French and English, but don't worry, most Canadians don't speak that much French. But if you do speak French, it is attractive. But Quebec is a French-speaking province. They do have English programs for students looking to study there as well. But these are two areas that are very popular, very high in demand for school. But I wanted to share one school, if you are doing your research, to take advantage of, which is Algoma University. And it's a university that's actually started in the rural part of Ontario, but they do have a campus which is in the Greater Toronto region that has lots of programs available, lots of graduate programs as well. And I find that their tuition is very affordable and their class sizes are much smaller. They do have, their university programs also have a lot of work experience that you can integrate it into your program. So for me, I love that because it can definitely increase your chances of employment upon graduation. So another school too is the University of Bishop. Is an amazing school in Quebec. It's actually an English language university in Quebec. So this is one option to take advantage of. I know a lot of people always say like Quebec, oh no, I don't want to go there because it's a French-speaking province and I don't speak French. There's nothing wrong with learning a little bit of French, but there's programs that are specifically in English language instruction that you can take advantage of. And I have to say too, Quebec is another region in Canada that is great for if you're looking to settle in Canada. They have a great immigration stream. They are definitely in labor shortage in a couple industries. So it's another area to take advantage of. So another area too is academic English and French programs. I know I work with a lot of Ivorians and a lot of them do need maybe an English to be admitted into schools outside of Quebec, or if you're looking to study in Quebec, there's a pathway you can use is you can do our English pathway program. So upon completion of that program, then you can enter into your original, the program that you intend to start off with, which is also advantageous to you in the end. So that is all I had to share with you today. And I just want to thank you guys so much. I took your time, but I just wanted to share what it takes to study in Canada. It's very attractive right now. I know a lot of Nigerians, a lot of Ghanaians are always saying Canada, Canada, Canada. But I want to show you this, what it takes to study in Canada, the immigration, the finances. And when you're researching, looking at provinces, looking at the tuition fees, will really, really help you in the long run. And most importantly, when it comes to immigration, I strongly encourage using a registered Canadian immigration consultant. It would save you a lot of time and money. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jessica. This was fantastic. I am just like, I learned so much in this short period of time. And please all, if you really want to consider studying in Canada, let me know and we'll put you in touch with Ms. Jessica. I want to show value of her time and her resources, but she is an excellent, and as we are going to recommend to all of you, is that you should just don't put all your options in one basket. Yes, Canada is a great choice, Stanley. You're very correct. So when you are applying to schools and through this process, the next 4 weeks, and one of your homework that you all will, some of you have already started, like Daniel and Chris, But some of you will be starting today, like Stanley, those who cannot make it, they'll be listening to the recording, like Tadera, Anita, and Chinadu. They will receive the recording and the homework. When you're creating your school list, it should include a mixed bag of options, schools in the US, Canada, and UK, or any other country that you think will be suitable for you. You want to give yourself as many options as possible that you believe would be the best fit or the best option for you, not only for your educational pursuit, but really what Ms. Jessica mentioned in terms of furthering your life in a whole new country. And I think Canada gives great options to making that happen. So thank you so much. And like Ms. Bellama says, we will absolutely be in touch. Let me stop there. Anyone have any questions? Please don't think any question is too silly, too simple. This is a great chance to connect with Jessica about Canada that can be helpful to you.
Yes.
So we give you all a few seconds. Any questions? If you don't want to say it out loud, you can also type it.
I also wanted to share too, if you also have any questions or you wanted more resources, I would recommend going to the Canadian Embassy, if you can. They can give you a list of immigration consultants who are actually in Nigeria or in Canada to take advantage of. If you want to get the official list, I would recommend going to any Canadian embassy nearby in Nigeria. They will be of great assistance too.
So we have for students interested in studying in the US, we have Education USA, right? Where they can go and they have different sessions and they help those along the way in various capacities. Does Canada have that same? You said they can go to the Canadian Embassy, but do they have like a structured institute like Education USA or no?
Not really. We do have something called Edu Canada, and in each province has their own institutions that they work with universities and they do trade fairs. But since the pandemic, everything has been, I wouldn't say so, but in Canada, we most of the time it's academic institutions, individual academic institutions that go out and reach out to like countries like Nigeria, like at schools, or work with the Canadian embassies on the ground to collaborate in terms of showcasing Canadian institutions. But we don't have something like Education USA.
Okay. And then you mentioned something to me that I think is good for Ms. Bellama to hear as well. If we, through Apply Board, you mentioned that we can also have certain schools, if we have a certain amount of students who have interest, like up to minimum of 20 students who want to learn more. Can you explain what that program is? And this is something we may collaborate with you on, particularly for learning more about Canadian schools?
Yeah, so if you have more than 20 students, like today we have Stanley, we have Chris, we have Daniel here, we have more than 20 students, we can bring an academic institution. So for example, University of Toronto, a representative there who can give us more information about programs specifically to University of Toronto, scholarships specifically to University of Toronto, maybe student life on University of Toronto. We can bring institutions like that. We can also even bring certain regions. Like I know one area in Ontario, which is not too far, a city not too far from Toronto, Waterloo, which is our little Silicon Valley. We want to attract more international students to their city. So the city of Waterloo, you can bring them and they can give us more information about student life, such as working in that city while as a student, the schools in that city, the advantages of going to those schools in that specific cities, and postgraduate employment. What are the benefits of settling in that particular area upon graduation? What does job prospects look like? What does the cost of living look like? We can collaborate with these type of, I guess, trade. What are the City of Waterloo? We can connect with the academic institutions. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank
I
you.
see
think there's a
Daniel
question about
wrote,
that. Mhm.
what are your recommendations for schools with great engineering program? Okay, yes. So again, which province are we looking at? I can say in Ontario, University of Toronto is for engineering programs. It's very competitive at that school. McGill, Simon Fraser, which is in British Columbia. Also, too, the school that I just said right now, Wilfrid Laurier, which is a top school. That school sends a lot of students to Silicon Valley. And then there's another one, the University of Waterloo. These schools are known for engineering programs. These are something I would definitely take advantage of. So I'm going to write them down for you in the chat. University of Toronto, McGill University, Wilfrid Laurier, University of Waterloo. So these are a few schools you can take a look at. Yeah. Alrighty. That's a great school. Engineering programs are really good. And I don't know if you were here, Daniel. I was saying like, also too, like I was saying, we do have a shortage of like we have a labor shortage right now because in Canada, we're just a nation of 30 million people. And on top of it too, our nation, a lot of people in our country are growing older. We have a lot of older people now. So we need, and a lot of them are retiring. As a matter of fact, since the pandemic, a lot of them have retired earlier. They have retired early. They just decided to leave the labor force in general. So we do need quite a lot of engineers at the moment. And a lot of times, a lot of Canadians, because we're so close to America, America is the big market for us. So a lot of them are also being scouted out to America too. So we do have a labor shortage in engineers. And the benefit of that too is when you finish your program, when you do your postgraduate, you get your postgraduate work permit. We have another program which even Nigerians can take advantage of. I know some Nigerians in Nigeria who applied straight and got a job. It's called the Pathway. It's something employment pathway, where if you can show you're a certified engineer in your country, you have the skills, and you have a job in Canada, you can automatically come into Canada. But if you are already in Canada and you have a degree, you can be eligible for that program, which fast tracks you to permanent residency in the end. So an engineering program is a really good program right now, especially nursing. Public health too is very competitive as well, because again, nursing, there is in huge demand. This is one program I always recommend my African students to take advantage of, and public health too. Yeah. You're welcome. Is that the same thing too, Karen, in US at the moment?
What's that?
In terms of certain programs that you would encourage or you would recommend based on the labor market in the US right now?
Yes, very much as you mentioned, but anything STEM, anything in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and some elements of business are in high demand because exactly as you mentioned, we have a huge shortage of individuals who are equipped with technology-based degrees, science, engineering-based degrees. So, and then, as I mentioned earlier, when you have a STEM designated degree, you are eligible to work in the United States for a total of 3 years, as opposed to when you graduate from any other degree, you're only eligible to work in the United States without sponsorship for just 1 year. So having anything relative to data analytics,
Yes.
mechanical, computer, I don't think there is a engineering degree that is considered less, but nursing may be a little difficult though for Nigerians from Nigeria, only because they're like, well, you can just do nursing in Nigeria. Because we have, a lot of, I guess, nursing type programs in Nigeria, but definitely anything relative to the STEM market is in high demand. We have a lot, like in addition to Nigerian students, I work with students from China, and that is all they study. Whether grad students, they're looking for it always has to be a STEM degree. Don't even care what school. And sometimes it's just a STEM designated degree. So they have that 3-year work eligibility.
Awesome. That's lovely. That's good to hear. So we're all in the same predicaments right now, post-pandemic. And I also wanted to share, me and Karen spoke last time because in Ghana, a lot of people are shying away from studying in the US due to, I guess, the propaganda or what is on the media of anti-immigration, especially, I would even say more Nigerians, because I know there was a time where they tried to really deter Nigerians, or I think ban Nigerians from coming to Canada, from coming to the US. And I was just sharing too that actually it's the best time to study in the US right now. If they're saying all of these, like right now, US is in need of international labor. Most of the Americas in general, like from Canada, US, all the way down to Mexico and Brazil, it's a nation of immigrants. So we are always in demand of international labor. So I think it's the best time to study in the Americas.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. All right. Well, I think any other questions? I think we lost Chris. I know he had a commitment to something else. But Jessica, this was wonderful. I will also share the recording with you, so you have it. And I will keep you posted if there are any other questions, and may add you to the group, but I don't want to put you in there unnecessarily. But I will share questions that come about after others review the recording. And again, thank you so much for spending your morning with us. This was absolutely fantastic.
I appreciate it. Anytime for you, Karen.
Thank y'all. All right, everyone that's still here, Ms. Bellama, Daniel, Stanley, thank you all so much for staying on, and for Chris for joining us earlier. Oh, there is a question that came on here. Is the application process different for graduate students to Canada?
Good question. This is where in Canada and US is similar. I think if they do a business program, the regular GMAT is what is required, GRE. But most of the time, you just need to do your personal statement, references as usual. Is that the same in the US? From what
Daniel, can you let Miss Jessica know the degree program you're applying to?
I know for a business program, you need a GMAT or a GRE. You're doing your
engineering. Do they still need a GRE, mechanical engineering?
I'm not too sure about that one, to be honest.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Daniel.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so mechanical engineering, and most schools in the US require a GRE, although now it's being waived due to the pandemic.
Yes.
Then, like you said, resume, personal statements, recommendation letters, and yeah, those are the main requirements. Yeah, but the GRE is the main test. Then some schools do require a test of English proficiency if you're an international student. Yes, so like TOEFL or IELTS. Yeah.
Yes. So it would, so each, whatever school that you research, each admissions requirement varies. So this is where the research comes in handy to just double check each one. But I do know for master's program is quite similar to any American school admission as well too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, that would also include if they have to take TOEFL or the IELTS. Is that required for African students, or it depends school by school?
School by school. For Nigeria and Ghana are English speaking nations. So I know for Ghanaian students, they don't need a English examination to show proof. And similar with Nigerians as well too. But again, I would strongly recommend to double check as well. I would strongly recommend to double check the institution.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right, if no other question, again, thank you so much. Jessica, thank you, Stanley, for being the first to join. If I was in Nigeria, I would give you a special prize, but I'm not. But I appreciate you joining and staying throughout. Ms. Daniel, thank you for joining us. Some great questions. Chris, for joining us earlier, and Ms. Bellama, who is the master of all things, juggling so much and still making time to join us. This was very informational and very informative, I should say. And hopefully we all learned, I know I did learn something new today. So again, we hope to connect with you in the future and hope we can lean on you for any additional questions, specifically about the Canadian process, okay? All right, so thank you all for joining. And again, you all will, everyone, as soon as the session is over, you're gonna get an email from me that will outline your homework that you all should be working on. And that is your school list. Daniel has already done his, he sent it to me and I still have to review it. I think he's good to go. Stanley, you'll get started today. Look out for the email from me. It will have the link to the, all of the links that Ms. Jessica provided, so you can add Canada to your list. It will also have the presentation that we covered today. And Jessica, you don't mind sharing your presentation?
Not a
and
problem.
I can, thank you. I'll include your presentation. And it will also have the spreadsheet. And I'm going to share this with you guys now to give you, so you can, oh, I actually did. We already looked at the spreadsheet, but I want to show you how to use Applyboard, because Applyboard, in addition to the other search options, whether it's through US News World Reports, whether it's through College Board, whether it's just through your own type of searching, you want to be able to put this information on a spreadsheet so you can keep track of all these different schools you are planning to apply to. Another thing you have to be mindful of, Ms. Jessica, you can tell us if this applies to Canada. Certain schools in the US will require you pay an application fee.
Yes.
So you can, Applyboard is really great because they will tell you, they don't have all the thousands of schools in the United States or all the thousands in Canada or UK, but they have good schools that are looking specifically for international students. That is their platform. They're only looking to attract, not only, but inclusive of all the other students they have. They want to see more international students, and they make incentives to see more African students, Nigerian students into their institutions. So Applyboard makes it easy to say, and what I like about Applyboard, you put your type of background, you say, this is me, because some of you have attended different schools, different majors, and have different performance results. So based on your own performance results, you put yourself, and then you'll be able to see what schools based on my profile will admit someone like me. Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of a student who gave me permission to do so. I'll show you 2 students in Nigeria who said we can share their profile, and then you can see what their results were. And you all have, so here are some of our students who have applied. I'll give you, this is one student, he was fine with me sharing his background. He was one student who his grades in Nigeria were not very, very good. He, found it difficult to do well due to his own reasons. So he applied to a certificate program, and he did his own search. I sent him a link and he did his own search. Oh, this is not, sorry, this is the wrong profile for him. He has 2 profiles. He decided that he was going to, he didn't do well. Let me see if I have his, you can say, what do you mean he didn't do well? So I can be more specific. Okay. So he attended, what is this? The Federal University of Technology in Owerri. And his grades were like, out of a 5, he got like a 3.04. So not very, very strong performance. So he decided he wanted to take the route Ms. Jessica recommended. He's going to do a like polytechnic diploma first in Canada. It was more affordable. And then after he does this 1 year, he'll know the system in Canada. It is more affordable. Then he will apply for grad programs. And it was a very, very simple process for him. And I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. So he applied to one of the reputable schools that Ms. Jessica shared, Thompson Rivers University. And he applied to a post-baccalaureate diploma in international business, okay? And what you do is when you set up your profile, you'll get a link from me today. And when you set up your profile, you get to check my eligibility as a student. So it will tell me, like I have Stanley in here, right? And it will say, Stanley, why does it say for English proficiency when that's not required? So Stanley technically will be eligible because I messed up his profile, but you will be eligible, saying that you need an English proficiency, but you don't. Okay, it's not required. So other than the English proficiency, which I need to fix, I don't know why I'm saying that, he would be eligible.
Pretty standard, they say that, don't worry.
Say that again?
It's pretty standard that they put that out there, just in case.
Just in case, okay. So he could apply for this program just like Chris did. I mean, just like, who is this, the student that I'm sharing with you now, he applied and he got in. It literally took like 3 weeks. It didn't even take that long because there was not much required than the transcript and him paying the application fee. That's the thing. Some of the schools in Canada, US, and UK may be free. And then some of them you have to pay. This school here, you see, it says application fee is 100 CAD. And that is what he wanted to apply. What CAD? Go ahead, Mr. You want to say something about that?
Oh, no, not at all. I also wanted to just share the benefit. Look, he has a September and a January option. to apply. So you have a little bit more wiggle room into when to start.
Yep. So he's going to start in he actually applied for this fall, but it was such short notice. He didn't have all the money, so he deferred his admissions. So he will be starting in September of 2022. One, it will give him time to see. And what I like about Apply Board, they tell you the cost. The school is about $15,000 for the year, and it will give him time to gather with his family, do whatever he has to do for this first year to show that he can pay the cost of this program. But what Apply Board allows you to do too is you decide again on what your budget is. You can say, okay, this is, I'm gonna again use Stanley as an example, because he's already, oh, here's my other student here, Salamatu. She wanted to go to school in the UK. So once you pick here, you can say, okay, I want to look for schools only in Canada. If you want to see if they have a post-work visa available, you can check that as well. You want to check university and college. You can keep this school list blank. You can decide, again, I want to either do a certificate program or a master's degree, because we're going to stick to masters. That's what we're talking about. You want to know when they start. Okay, I want to start next year. I want to start whenever you want to start. We'll just say August. And then you don't need this part. This is for us. What I love about what you guys will see is you can determine how much you want the tuition to be. If you say, oh, I don't want this school to cost any more than, let's say, if they even exist, any more than $9,000. Let's see if we'll find a school. And then you can even say, I don't want to pay any application fee. I want it to be free. Then you apply the filter. Okay. And then it will tell you in the UK, there's one school here that is less than $9,000 in their tuition, and you don't pay any application fee. Okay. But you have to look at other criteria. You see here, can you work? Do they have internships? Can you work while you're studying? And right now, they don't check you can work while you're studying, but I would advise still check with the school directly, because Apply Board may not have every single detail. So you can say, oh, okay, everything else they have. Do they have housing accommodations as a grad student? And they do. Do they offer conditional admissions, which they do? And they tell you all the information about the school, the tuition, living, no application fee. And this is just estimates on how much things can cost. And then you will check my eligibility. Am I eligible to apply for this school? So Apply Board is just one tool. It's not the tool, because again, it doesn't have every school in the United States. If you're like a top student, Apply Board, like you won't see MIT, because MIT doesn't need to find international students. They have a name of their own. McGill, you won't see here because they have a name of their own. University of Toronto, they may have, because Apply Board was started in Canada. So I don't know if University of Toronto's on here.
No, you're right. They don't have it. So this is where we also step in and do those individual applications as well.
Right. So if you know, well, I want a mixed school of schools that are hard to get into, you reach out to us. But the schools that are a little bit more easier to get into, still great schools, excellent quality of education, but they're looking to attract more international students. Apply Board is a very useful tool. So that is what, so I will share Salamatu's background too. She's also a student who in Nigeria, she wanted a school that was less than 15,000. And then the great news for her, which I didn't think UK did at all, not only did she get into the school, she also received a 3,000 or she received a scholarship into a school in UK, which I was like, wow, that was, yeah. And she had a 3.2 GPA. So her GPA wasn't even that. She's applied for a Master's of Science in Entrepreneurship and Business Development. Okay, at a school called Leeds Beckett University. And the tuition here was more affordable. It's about $13,000 for the year, and there's no application fee. So the cost of living is more affordable. The school is a reputable school. There's no fee, so you can apply for free. It doesn't cost you anything. And then again, let me see if I can find her scholarship letter. With her background, let me check her GPA before I said that too fast. I think it was a 3.2. Let's see. Well, she has second class upper division. So whatever that GPA is good. Where did she go? She went to where did she go? Oh, she went to American University in Nigeria. I don't know if that's considered a good school. I think yes. American University in Nigeria is considered a good school. It's a private school in Nigeria. So she finished with a she just finished with a 3.0. Share my screen again. Yes, so she finished at American University with a 3.0 out of 4. And then she was able to, that's what her transcripts say. Yeah, 3.02. Okay. And then she got, let me show you, let me see if I can see her scholarship letter. I think it's in here. Oh, I can't see it now. Either way, I don't want to keep you all. So one thing, and she also deferred her admissions because she was doing her NYN, her youth service. So she wanted to do her youth service this year before going to school for next year. If I find her award letter, I will share with you. But so Apply Board can be a great tool for you all, in addition to using College Board, in addition to using QS, in addition to using US News and World Reports. I mean, you want to create a list at, I would say, at least 10 schools and mix it up. A few schools in Canada, a few schools in the United States, and a few schools in US. So you have a good, really great options for yourself in 3 really great countries. Okay. All right. Well, we are way over time. So thank you all, Stanley and Daniel, Belema, everyone for hanging in there for an extra hour and a half. This shows me your commitment and your willingness to go through this process. Look forward to you all getting the work done. If you don't understand what I'm sharing, you need help, I'm going to be sharing it in a new platform called Classroom, because it allows me to monitor everyone in one place. So you're not emailing me here and there and everywhere. You'll submit your work in Classroom. Okay, so the Excel sheet that I'm sharing, the spreadsheet where you put all your schools, is going to be graded. So, you know, and it's going to have a date due next Saturday. Daniel, you've already done it. So just upload your school list in Classroom when you get the email. I'll wait for Ms. Jessica to send me her presentation, and then I'll add it to the email, the notification that you all will get. So you'll have how you can search for schools in the US, and also information for searching and how you can search for schools in Canada. All right. Thank you all for joining. I know the rest have, she already shared it with me. Thank you. Stanley, Belema, do you have any other questions before we wrap this up? Or Daniel? Okay, no questions. Thank you all. I'm so, Daniel should update with any new learnings from this session. Yes. Oh, actually, I do one. You know what? I love that. Yes. Every Daniel who's still here. Bye, Jessica. Thank you. Stanley and Daniel, please share with us right now, what have you learned from this session that you will find helpful and that you will use moving forward? Stanley, I'll ask you to go first.
Okay. It's actually great. I've learned, at least I've learned a lot, especially in Canada, that there are opportunities for someone who doesn't have good grades to still further his or her education. And then I've also been able to learn in general that at least she was specific. There are some schools that doesn't even need you to take any exams to be able to apply. And you know, especially it's just the Canada thing just really got me because it was as if, yeah, everything was really clear and yeah, and I don't know what to say, but it's very clear and was quite something that I'm very much interested in. But that doesn't mean that other schools, both in the US, with what we've talked about, with applying and being able to find schools that you know, that have financial aid, and also you say that all these things that are things that we should apply on time, because the financial aid, so you know, the fund is something that can finish. So if you apply on time, you are able to, you know, get financial aid. You have, you know, you know, you have great chances of getting financial aid, and also not also being afraid to go for the big things like Oxford, Harvard, University, because at the end of the day, you might not have good grades, but they might still want to take a chance on you because they believe that you have potentials. So all this is like, you know, it's giving me a wide possibility. Like, okay, if you can still, there's a possibility for you to still study in Harvard University or Oxford University, and there's also an opportunity for you to study in Canada and any university of your choice. But the most important thing is that you need to start on time, and you need to also prepare yourself and be able to know, get involved with what you're doing, like be involved, know what you're doing. Like you don't need to, especially in the US, that you definitely go for an interview. You need to know about the schools that you are attending. You need to know the fees. You need to know all these things. So generally, like I've learned a lot, and the most important thing is to be involved and be willing to put in the work and know what you are doing, understand what you're doing, and also understand what is being done for you as well.
Excellent
I
summary.
think that's all.
I love it. I love it. Excellent, excellent summary of the session today. Daniel, what would you like to, what was your big takeaway?
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
so the first thing I took away was, first, don't put all your eggs in one basket, like you said. I initially was only considering, I'm not going to lie, I was only considering United States. But yeah, like take a look at the UK. I'm more maybe Germany, because I knew that there's a lot of
Oh, it's breaking up. We can't hear
a
you.
lot of school. That much from yeah, my internet is dying.
While you're getting your sound, Ms. Bellama brought in a very great point. Ms. Bellama, please chime in to explain. I know network is poor. Okay, she's using the text box. So Ms. Bellama brought a great point I want to share for those who will be watching the recording and may not see the text, but Stanley gave a great summary, but Ms. Bellama also shared, I like your summary, but not that US gives more money than Canada, only that their application is more rigorous, but very rewarding. So yes, US may ask for more because US may be able to give you more than Canada. Canada, although, so it's all depending, each of you have your own unique expectations, have your own unique needs. That's why it's very important you know why you are doing this for you. You know about your own financial circumstances. You know about your own academic profile. And based on your own particular background, finding schools that meet your expectations, because not every, Daniel's journey will be very different from Stanley's journey, from Chidera's journey, Anita's journey, anyone else that will be going through this process. So being clear of all your options, will this school offer me financial aid because of my background? Will they not? And if they don't offer me financial aid, what school can I afford, or at least show proof that I can afford it my first year? Let me get into the country and then I'll figure things out after I know I can get into this school. I can afford this school for my first year. I want to be in this environment, because another part we didn't talk about, but is very important to be aware of, is your ability to handle a new environment. Are you mentally prepared? Are you emotionally equipped to be in a new space on your own? Or do you want to be, because going to Canada, you say, oh, Canada is great. Will you be able to manage if there's nobody you know there, you know, or do you need to be around or close to people that you will be familiar with? Yes, someone like Daniel, Stanley, you guys are very friendly, so you'll meet people. Stanley is a very, very friendly young man. He's an actor, so he knows how to engage with people and connect with people. So someone like Stanley may be able to, and he's an extrovert, so he may be able to connect and be in a new environment all by himself. So you have to be very, very prepared to know, yourself. So will myself be able to live away from my family, away from anyone I know, because I will make friends? Like I use me as an example. I moved to, my family lives in New Jersey, but I wanted a different career opportunity and a different quality of life and a different living circumstances. So I always wanted to live in Washington, DC. I just love the United States Capitol. So I knew I wanted to live away from my family, but not too far. So everyone lives about 3 hours away from me. Now I had the chance for a career opportunity in Florida and in Texas long ago, but none of my family at the time were they were too far. So I was like, I can drive to New Jersey where my family is and I'm okay, but I can't drive from Texas to New Jersey. So I decided to stay in the Washington, DC area. But I knew I could manage myself in this space, but not being too far from family. So you definitely have to know yourself and how you can handle yourself. You know, you want to be in a place that's cold, hot, mixed weather. Those are all other factors you have to consider in addition to the cost. Financial aid is yourself, what type of environment you want to live in and can continue to live in for a long period of time, because this investment you're making in yourself is not a cheap one. Okay, it's going to come at a cost, but it will be a absolutely rewarding one if you do it well. You focus, you follow up, and please, if nothing else, please ask us questions. We're all here to help you all be successful. We can't read your mind. So the more questions you ask, no matter how big or small, the better we can help you through this process. Even as you do your homework to do the school search, if you're like, Miss Karen, I still don't understand what part of it I need to do, where do I need to start, ask. So then I can walk you through and have a session with you if I have the time. But use the recording, use the tools that I shared, Ms. Bellama shared, and then Ms. Jessica shared today. And then thank you, Stanley, so much. MVP, he shared a lot of this information Ms. Jessica shared in the group, in the Horizon Bootcamp group. That is exactly what we're supposed to do, share information with each other for those who are not able to attend, and continue to share, and be part of other school forums so you can connect with other students going through this process, but sharing with one another is fantastic. Ms. Bellama, anything you'd like to add? I would love to hear from you if you can.
Nothing really. I think session has gone well. A lot has been shared, and I think let's just go take action on the things that we've learned. I like Ezekiel's Stanley. Let's just keep it Stanley. I'm very well mentally prepared, very much mentally prepared. That's good. And then Daniel says expand my options before the glitch. And I think let's just go put this into practice. Let's do our school search and let's see what happens next week.
Excellent.
And then
Yes.
we have the group to continue conversations on. So.
Absolutely. And
Yingi didn't come into the session.
who?
Yingi, I didn't see her.
No, I didn't see her either.
Oh, that's okay.
But you know what?
Fish.
Actually, let me make sure I invited her. Lord, I may have forgotten. Let me stop the recording.
Right, yeah, you can stop the recording and we'll send her the.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Okay, I'm going to stop the
Bye.
recording and then you want to stop your recording?